I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That timing was impeccable.
Okay. Thank you all for coming this evening. We have a motion to approve the agenda.
I move to approve. Second.
Okay, got a motion, got a second, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Public comment? Okay, thank you all for coming. Consent items, do we have a motion to approve the consent items?
Motion.
Motion made by Ron.
Second.
Made by Gene. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Old business. Summer flooring proposal.
This is just the PO for all the flooring that needs to be put back in after the abatement is done. Let's see, it should be, this is the Hiller commercial floors. The two unknowns, chemical abatement is not being used, so therefore we do not have the extra 24,000. And then the moisture test, because of the air conditioning, we will not have that extra 43,000 either. So then
are those down lower on there?
that's down to the two unknowns.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Okay. So then what we have is the 78,000, which is, actually what we thought we needed to budget for this was 125. But because they are, in that, Southeast Service Co-op contract,
Got a better deal.
got a much better deal. So this, we can't get anything even close to this from anyone else. And this is it's called the LVT, luxury vinyl tile, that has the ceramic top and never needs wax. So it'll save on maintenance costs, and also it wears like iron. So we won't have to look to replace this for years, and it will not stain. So when we put it, what?
And this
It's like
is,
iron, so it rusts? Is that what you said?
so this would be the final
Yep.
abatement part,
Yep.
right? Okay.
Well, this is you're going to be getting a lot of these for approval. This,
Right.
there's two
No, I mean,
tonight.
as far as the abatement, is this all?
You already approved the abatement with
Right.
Mavo, so this is to put the floors back in.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
do you,
Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Have a second?
Second.
Motion second?
I did read on the Minnesota Service Co-op contract in one school out there. Said that they did a fantastic job at their school. Really. Good company.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you.
and the casement is the
Casement.
next one. That's, the same, situation. We have to redo all the countertops and the cabinets, because those will all get removed during the abatement process. We will put them in after the flooring is done. And so that's with this one, by going with Haldeman Home. This is they've already done the bid process for government entities through University of Minnesota. And so therefore, we just needed to sign the paperwork, so now we're part on the purchasing for University of Minnesota purchasing agreements with the bids that they've approved, which means that we can get all of the cabinetry done for, once again, about 2/3 of the cost of what it would be anywhere else.
So what was in our what did you have in your estimate for this? Do you remember?
For the, with this one, it's, well, it's about 40,000
Less.
under what we had earmarked.
And then, the stools, somebody just asked me the other day, and it kind of is a blur, did we just get new stools in the science room?
Those, the tables and chairs that we did get in the science room are going to be repurposed into another room that needs, where the desks are falling apart. And so they've got the adjustable tables and the chairs. We never should have gotten stools with wheels for a science room. It's not. But,
So we're using, is what you're saying?
yeah, we're definitely using those. They are new, and there are some rooms that have older tables and chairs and need to be replaced badly. So,
So-
yeah, they will not be thrown out at all.
So we're saving about 40 grand here, and on the other one, we're saving pretty close to, look like
60.
60. That's good.
Cost containment.
Cost containment.
And so that's, it doesn't make sense to go with anyone else because
No.
this is, so I would,
So we need a motion to approve this also?
Yep. We're going with the medium oak because it matches the other woodwork in there. And that's, oak is cheaper than the maple, so.
Which one of these goes under long-term maintenance, the other one doesn't, or they do?
The one for the
For-
one classroom.
Right, for
One
the,
classroom's
for
covered
one
under it.
classroom, it goes, so, half of this is all paid through long-term facility maintenance. Yep,
Is
Is
it
that what the-
room 27 is the one that's the,
long-term facility maintenance, room 29 is the one
Right.
where we're rehabbing, yep.
Correct.
so room 27 breakout, that's the long-term facilities maintenance one?
Yes,
And the rest is,
29.
come, right,
Coming, yeah. coming out.
the rest is not covered
Right.
by long-term.
So about half. So, do we have a motion to approve?
I move.
Motion, got a second? Second, around. Any further discussion on it?
I just wanna say, we haven't done the planning session, but I did reach out to Todd and just asked about the science rooms and said, you know, and basically Todd said they're the top, one of the items at the top of my list, so I think it's, you know, and he's been wanting them for years, so if we were doing them simply because we were abating asbestos, I don't necessarily think that redoing this room is the right answer, but if they've been at the top of Todd's request list for years and years and years, then it makes sense. So,
they were right
Numbers.
under new bleachers. And so the bleachers were on the request list for 20 years. So, they've been number two they were number two for like 16 years, and so they've been number one for the last 4.
and so then when we talk about strategic planning, sorry Todd, that's gonna be your thing.
No more?
Okay.
But you get less because you're getting this, right?
Right.
That's not gonna go over well.
Just to be clear, this is part of the planning session and what's on your
Right.
list, so we don't get to go to the next item now.
Yeah.
Okay, so, further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Policies for second reading, correct, Michael? So, I know we talked about this last time. We have a motion to approve policy 404, 406, 417, 418, and 424.
So moved.
Second,
Second. Discussion, anything you wanted to bring up? I know.
No, we kind of talked about what was on there.
I did mention in terms of 417, 418, that those probably be changing in one, because right now it's got the medical cannabis is illegal, but depends on what the state does in that, that's probably be changing that. But right now it's illegal.
Okay, so we got a motion, we got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Discussion items, information gained from MSBA conference. Who'd like to start? Michaeline? Ron? Myself? Well, I went to a couple meetings. One of them mainly pertained to some changes for negotiating with teachers. I talked a little bit about it with Corinne on ULA. So, and allowing to, there's a change to that, we can agree, and that's something we're gonna have to talk about. I don't wanna really go into it because it's more of a discussion. Then I went to another meeting of, we call Gem of the North, pertaining to Duluth School, and unknown to me until after the fact, it really doesn't pertain to us. So, I shouldn't have even gone. So I sat there for whatever time it was, and it was wasting my time. Anyway, the speaker, we had heard him in the past, so it was kind of a repeat of that. So, I mean, to be totally honest, I didn't get as much out of it as I was hoping.
You got to meet with Kevin McGauley and Marlene Evenson, who walked you through the entire.
Yeah, I got to meet with some people on this, which was good for UNESCO, and you know, we did listen to the new governor.
Yep.
So that was good, and the new education person.
Commissioner of Education.
Commissioner of it, yeah. So 2 high points or 3 high points of the couple days. So. Michaeline or Ron?
Go ahead, Ron.
Okay, well, the two that I went to was one on PTA, and I don't know how long it's been since we had PTA here, but I just feel like PTA is something that gives parents ownership in the school, and I would like to do a little research on when we had it and why it went away, and maybe we should explore the possibility of getting it back again. Because we do want to have, you know, school participation with parents. And then the other one I went to was this one on strategic plan of Farmington Public Schools. And they had some nice belief statements, mission statement, and some of these things we might be able to use in our strategic planning. And they had it all worked out. It seemed like everything was just perfect there.
And their superintendent is Superintendent of the Year.
I can believe it. So, hopefully we can maybe gain something from this. I thought there's a lot of things here that are, I call them nebulous, you know, they're kind of there, but there's no hows. And what was that?
Foresight.
Keynote said the 3 main questions when you're doing something is how. So that's it. That was my main ones.
On the PTA, I can give you a little insight on that. Some schools have PTAs, that's the state one. There's also, they didn't want to join the state organization, so they formed PTOs as well. But what happened to most of them is, like anything, it became a TA because they couldn't get any parents' involvement. So whenever they had a meeting or set up meetings, it was all teachers, and there was no parents in there, so most of the places stopped them. I was a representative, I was a PTA on the state level when Kim Norton, who is mayor of Rochester now, was up there and president of our organization. And that back in the 80s, I guess.
And now PTO is turned into paid time off.
Yes,
Okay.
but that's what happened to most of it.
The ones I went to, I did an early bird session. It was on the board's role in driving technology implementation. It was discussion of best practices based on Apple's Distinguished Schools processes, pretty much geared around schools that had using iPads and Apple products, but the discussion was how to involve and get buy-in and so forth. It was good information. I went to a session on, it was Communicate. It was by the superintendent of Fergus Falls. And he just, I don't know how big their district is. I'd spent a little time on their website, but I can't remember, I don't remember some of the details. But he must have people that do things so he can spend time communicating or saying that the communication is happening, but it was a huge focus. I mean, he just emphasized that he felt that was something important that be done for the community, as well as, so he puts out a weekly or bi-weekly newsletter, and within the district as well. But one of the ways that they ran their school board meetings was at the end of a school board, they'd have a school board meeting, and immediately following the regular school board meeting, they would go into a work session to plan for the next meeting. So it was kind of an interesting twist on how to involve the board in knowing what's coming at the next meeting, and having an opportunity to have a conversation about what information do board members need to be able to make these decisions, what's going to be on the agenda, and what do we need to be ready to make that. So that was just interesting. They also had I don't know about their strategic plan, but they had in one of their forms, they just had a one-page form of just district goals, and it had the district mission, the core values, and the goals that were decided at some strategic planning thing. I thought that was kind of a nice thing on the website that wasn't presented there. It was just kind of like, oh, there it is, just without the big report, just here are the things we're working on. Another one I went to was on, it was a roundtable on broadband availability in school districts. Houston County's been kind of left out on the broadband grants, and so it was what you could do to encourage that, and how you could do workarounds if you had family members who were not able to get internet access. So I learned some things about that. And then the last one I went to was on the value of surveying community, staff, and parents. That was kind of an unexpected one I walked into. That was the most powerful session I went to. It was, I'm sure it's an organization that costs a lot of money, but when you're asking about surveying to see if we do a PTO or a PTA to see if there's interest, or building an auditorium, or doing anything, it seemed like money well spent. So they presented very well, and there was a lot of excitement in the room on that presentation. So
Are they a company that helps you figure out what to ask and kind of
Yes.
takes care of it
yes.
for you?
Yep.
So it's like,
Oh, sorry.
yeah, I was just gonna say it's like SurveyMonkey, but much
Oh,
better.
way more
They just-
powerful.
Yeah, okay.
And for data, for people who love, like this, a couple superintendents who have used them said, you know, if you love to mine data, Corinne, they just were excited. They said there is so much, the way they break stuff out, the way you can disaggregate and mine the data and see different things. It was like, they're like, this is just, you know, I mean, if you're not gonna use the data, don't spend the money, but if you are looking for
What was
directions,
the name of it?
school perceptions.
Okay, because I went to one at California that was called Trust something, and they did the same thing.
This, the presenter though, was the head of the company, and I think his main person. She just had a way of presenting that just made you feel like she understood what you were looking for. It was really good. Anyway, so I picked up one on community engagement survey, a student engagement survey, a staff engagement survey. These are all different things that you can do with this company, and a lot of school districts use it, like if they're looking at a building, but but it depends on what you wanna do, so for staff, for students, it seemed really powerful, potentially powerful. So, anyway, you're probably aware of it, but it was pretty good information for me.
No, a lot of these are cropping up, but
Yeah.
it's the price. Did they talk about price points or?
I didn't, if they did, I didn't write it down.
Okay.
And I'm sure it's not free, but if we're looking for information, it just seemed really powerful to get some help for how to interpret it. So it's maybe an investment that's worth doing, like the investment we're making in running smarter systems in the buildings, right? I mean, so just maybe worth a ask.
Definitely. And I went to, proper steps to investigate misconduct, and, when you need to investigate and when you don't, and when you need to do it on your own and when you need to call your lawyer. The lawyer had a lot of really interesting stories, and I'm glad that I have never seen anything like that here. And then the other one was Anoka Hennepin, the Anoka School District Strategic Planning, as far as what they're doing, and kind of their model going through. They had, I can't imagine doing that type of planning and evaluation and maintenance without having almost an entire group of people that are dedicated to that full time. It seemed, it was very robust, but also very labor intensive.
Pete, how about you? You weren't at the main meeting, but you were there ahead of time. What'd you get?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I was just impressed how they conducted it. Very efficient and no waste of time, and kept you interested in what it was. And they broke you up in small groups, you know, the kumbaya ones, but they were good. They asked your input a lot, and for somebody that's never been on the school board, it was real informative, and it was what you needed. So I was glad I went.
Okay, anything else on that? No?
Thank you guys for going. Take your time.
That's always fun.
Next year is the 100th anniversary, so that'll be a big one. Probably a big hoop to do next
Ron,
year.
you didn't tell us about getting your certificate.
Oh, yeah.
Ron got a recognition
got
for being on the board longer than the board was around. Or something.
Our words to that effect.
What was it, over 25
25.
years, right, Ron? Congratulations on that.
Yes, indeed.
That's impressive.
Thank you.
You know, we talk about getting people involved in the school, whether it be community or even people on the board. You know, that's hard to do, so 25 years, I don't know if I would be able to do that.
Well, you're pushing it, old man.
Thank you for reminding me.
I guess I've had the opportunity of being on and then off, and, you know, seeing it from both the inside and the outside, and it gives you a different perspective at times too, so.
And Michaeline, you as well, we're
Oh,
on and
yeah,
then off. and
like
then-
we're hopeless, we don't have lives, those of us who've been on boards too long.
But you're an asset to the board.
Absolutely,
So everybody here,
thank you, yeah.
so it's good to have people that are seasoned and new people. So, always helps.
Diversity is always good.
Yep. So, okay, now we're going into our fun part, strategic planning session. Okay, Corinne, you wanna?
Well, we've got the 4 strategic focus areas, and then I did add a column for other. What we have here is the sort of work that's being done at each of the buildings. So for relevant course offerings,
And you have any more of these? Sorry.
I thought I had one for everybody.
It's in your packet. Did you get a,
It's right there.
it's under your folder.
Oh, why didn't you say so?
Disregard.
so far, we've added the online computer programming class, CAD. The English curriculum is all revamped to really be more, not only aligned to the standards, but more relevant to what things the students will be asked to do as they go into career or college. And then computer aids, because of the changes in media, the media classes at the elementary school, we knew we needed to revamp computer aid. And so we're using Google Apps, so they're actually learning all the different Google tools that the Chromebook has as well. So they're, it really is a very robust course now. At the elementary, they've aligned their English language arts curriculum to the state standards, and their, the purchased, we did that whole curriculum mapping process. So it's not only aligned, it's organized by the month, the week, the date as well, and I'll load it into Schoology so they know and they can monitor what they're doing on individual standards. So if there's something that comes back from the reading test where the students did not do well, they can drill right into where they address that. Same with math. The ADSYS program and the special education room are both using Sunday system for reading instruction now. It's a based on the Orton-Gillingham method, and we're collecting data to see that is being effective. And the PLCs are focusing on adding STEAM activities at all grade levels. At MNBA, we're adding the Destination Career Academy. We're creating special education content area classes for students who have special needs and cannot find success due to the rigor of the general ed classes. We are creating new offerings for them. We created new art offerings in middle school and high school. And those art classes are already aligned to the new art standards that are going through and are going to be approved at the state level. And we've got English language arts and Minnesota focused math courses now, and they're all differentiated. It's confusing because in MNBA they call them summit classes, but the summit classes mean that the teachers have the ability to assign similar assignments that address the same standards, but they're differentiated as far as the students' interests, as far as the students' understanding of the topic. So those students that don't grasp it as well get one assignment, those students that have it get one, those students that are advanced get another, but all the assignments address the same standards, and so the teachers can do that without having to create something for each of those groups. It's all within that curriculum now. Then technology utilization. The high school and the elementary school, the high school's using Schoology. Some classes are logging on every day. Other classes, it's like with band, there's not much to put in. So they're using it as appropriately. If you've noticed, Twitter, Facebook, and the website are up to date and getting maintained on a daily basis. And then I've got the computer aid Google Classroom material there as well, and HES. With their media education, it's following the ISTE standards for all grade level instruction. But that's because of that media instruction. That's why we had to change grade 8 computers, because now the kids are coming in knowing all the things that they would have covered in that class, and they got it all through elementary school. So it's absolutely fantastic. We've got the media. And it's kind of funny, the technology utilization, we haven't done anything really at MNVA that's, all their classes are technology based, but we haven't really done the technology utilization. So it might be once Destination Career Academy is up and running and successful, another pathway we might want to look at adding, not this year or next, but might be the IT pathway. If this is a focus that we really want to have, because that one would really get at a lot of technology utilization. For marketing, we've got Twitter, Facebook, website, Fillmore County Journal Hurricane page. At MNVA, we've got Project Elevate, and that's a national, it's on Twitter, and it's on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. And so we've had several of our students showcased. In fact, on the last one that just came out, we had one of our students who has had brain surgery and has had some health problems because of it, but she has found a great deal of success working in MNVA. And she said she never could have done that at a traditional school because it wouldn't have been impossible with all of her doctor's visits. Then we've got other K-12 marketing and advertisements, and then Kristen Roloff, last year she got a book published, and I think it was WCCO just picked up and did another article on this teacher author. So it's kind of fun when we have WCCO or Carol Levin doing reports on our kids. And some of the Project Elevate kids end up on their local news outlets as well. So we've had some Project Elevate students discussed on Carol Levin. We've had some, there's Austin TV, KAL, Bemidji TV, so.
With marketing, one time we went to the city to ask them if we could get it, one of the channels on TV. And
we're still waiting for a Centec.
They're still waiting on that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's, we filled, Chris Peterson and I did all the paperwork, we filed it all, and we're still waiting for a Centec to build the channel now.
So we have to ask them at their annual meeting.
Yeah.
When they're gonna do that.
Yeah, because it'd be nice to add some of the, I know you and you talk WCCO and stuff, a lot of that's the cities, you know, and I know when I'm in the cities, and, you know, I know Mimi goes up there now, and then quite a bit too, you know, you see stuff on MNVA up there, but we never see it here. I think it would be nice, once they get that up and loaded, you know, some of this stuff we could add to it to let the people in the community know, you know, what's going on locally, you know, so they know that. Because people around here are curious what's going on with the online school. And is there any success, what's going on, and what's not? So I think it'd be nice.
I see a lot of K-12 advertisements on TV. I don't know if I watch WCCO or much, but I see quite a bit of them. They're really nice ads.
Yeah.
How long has it been since you did that application with the center?
It's been last April or May.
Yeah,
it was
it's
called.
almost a year
It's been
now.
almost a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this summer, I finally got everything back. Chris Peterson got things back from Terry Chiglow, a Centec's lawyer. And he said, yep, everything looks good. And so then Chris said that she would call me when,
You turn it on.
yeah, and it still hasn't been built. And I've talked to some of the people at a Centec about it, so I will.
What's the delay? Have they said why or how come? Because Rushford has it, I believe, right? The Crescent and.
Rushford has, Rushford's was set up, Rushford's channel was set up as a, channel where you could broadcast from the school right away. La Crescent has 2 channels, one city, one school. They set it up that way originally. Houston was just set up as the Houston City Channel, and the school, when the city set it up, they didn't add one for the school. So, I'm not sure why. It was a long time ago.
I'd be curious to see, I think, why we aren't set up yet.
Yeah.
Can't be that difficult,
No,
you know, or why they're procrastinating.
I will reach out to
I
Mr.
think most of us
Wrestler.
utilize their services, and I'll pay them a few bucks over the years,
You've been paying your bills pretty good.
as far as I know. Haven't shut it off yet.
But no, that's,
Yeah.
I will reach out to them again tomorrow.
There it's a squeaky wheel gets oiled,
Yes,
so you would pay to get a hold of them.
again.
Keep knocking on the door.
Every day.
Okay, with community and college partnerships, the 4th one, the high school here is really doing a lot with that. The career exploration days, there's also the, interviewing that the seniors are going to be working on, and, the certificate programs at Southeast Tech. Those certificate programs are very similar to the Destination Career Academy certificates that our students will be able to earn now at MNVA. It's the same industry certifications. And the science days in conjunction with the Winona State University students. So we're trying to do more. I did meet with Bruce Ramsdell from Winona State University about the possibility of placing student teachers in the online school. If not for an entire semester, at least for their practicum, their observation practicum, so that they can shadow a teacher. And so Bruce and Angela and I will be meeting, and Lisa Schultz, as far as logistics, to, because we need her there for logistics as far as how the people get in, how they shadow. But that's a potential partnership. I didn't write it on here yet because there's a lot of logistics to go through first, but that's a potential partnership too. So we've actually done quite a bit there.
And then we have other, we talked about that other people have ideas at this time.
I'm wondering if we could ask Mr. Lundberg to provide some input. I know he has to go to the basketball game, so
No,
is that all right?
yeah, yeah.
Sure.
that's fine.
So Todd, if you had to, if I just said, one of them I think I know the answer to, so I'm just gonna ask it up front. If we were just to go through these 4 things and you were to pick the biggest item that you would like to see or change in the high school, technology utilization, is that where the new science labs would fit under?
Yeah, and even relevant course offerings, being able to have that flexibility in the rooms is gonna help us tremendously on updating the, science curriculum too, and what they're able to do.
So is there anything else on your big wish for those first 2, if we were just kind of talking about them together, relevant course offerings and technology utilization, if we were to have a big strategic goal for the high school, is there another thing other than science labs and science curriculum?
Well, the relevant course offerings, I mean, I think we could use more. I get from our kids, we've since the time I've been here, you think about it, we've cut an entire ag teacher, we've cut an entire family consumer science teacher, we used to have, 2.5, math teachers, and our student population hasn't changed a lot since then. We're pretty stable, but we've cut those back, and so then that's forced, some of those required classes to go into some of those other elective areas. Kids would like on-site, There are a lot of kids don't like online classes, but they're forced to take them because we don't have all of those. So to be able to offer some more on-site courses would be great, but that's expensive because it's, you know, the salaries are an expensive piece and it's an ongoing piece. And the problem is, you know, do we have a lot of kids? You know, yeah, there's probably some more industrial tech classes that kids would like to take, relevant classes for them, you know, in that career and manufacturing classes, but we're not gonna have that many kids in there. But I know that, you know, there's partnerships with Fastenal and stuff. They're giving Winona High School machines, you know, that they can use, and I'm sure we could find other businesses that would, you know, do that to help us, but we have to have the space and we have to have teachers. I mean, right now, yeah, college classes are all full and kids wanna take them. You know, and I think the same thing with some technology classes. It'd be great to have some more of those, but it's tough when we're a small school. You know, we hear sometimes kids go, oh yeah, I wish I had some family consumer science type classes, you know, a food class or a nutrition class, or, you know, and then there's even simple ones as, you know, sometimes these high school kids, juniors and seniors, wish they could have, like a lot of schools, a weightlifting or a fitness for life class, and we don't have those classes. So that's something that I, you know, it would be nice, but I do know that that's an expensive undertaking if we were to add on more classes, because I think we're really at a bare minimum, you know, right now with staff, and if we strip anything else away, it's going to be tough.
What about a take-home computer so that we
Well,
can do?
Yeah, I mean, take-home computers, you see that in schools. You know, to be honest, I go back and forth because I hear it from all over. You know, some schools have it, some don't, and it's the sustainability of it, kind of like what our neighboring school does. You know, those kids that have a tough time, they give them, you know, $100 to help purchase the computer, but otherwise, yeah, Chromebooks are a pretty cheap thing to do, but, you know, that sustainability of it, then who manages it, that's kind of one of those tricky pieces on it as well. It's something that needs to be talked about, and, you know, if that's what we want to do, but, you know, it's tricky.
So like the course offerings had to do with having not enough persons interested in them, or?
Partially, but partially just we've cut back. And, you know, the egg, it was, yeah, it went back, it went to like, okay, we can sustain a half-time teacher, but the problem is you couldn't find one. Tough enough finding an egg teacher, but then a part-time. The same thing with the family consumer science. It was tough enough to, you know, find a full-time, and then all of a sudden when we said we could only sustain a half-time, you know, that's what is a little bit tricky on some of those areas. Industrial tech would be probably the same way. Hey, let's get a half, we're gonna find someone to do that. But the other thing is, and, you know, I've been talking with other, having meetings with other area principals and business leaders, and trying to find ways to connect kids to the jobs that are in this area, because there's a workforce, you know, shortage, and how do we get kids out there? And that's one of the things that we're looking at, maybe wanting to employ someone that would work in multiple districts, that would do, you know, kind of a school to work coordinator that would go out and find those businesses that would take kids in where we could give them credits, because, you know, we don't have anyone for our regular ed students. We do for special ed, but we don't for regular ed, nor does a few of the other school districts around. And, you know, maybe that's something that we could share, because kids may not be able just to go to Houston to find that work experience, you know, during the school day. Maybe it's another community that has things, because there's some great businesses right in this, you know, within half an hour drive, and they can stay in this community still. And I don't know if kids always know that, and it'd be nice for those businesses to bring kids in to show them that, so they can say, hey, look, you can make a great living, you know, at a company that's, you know, on your doorstep.
So are you now tying in community and college partnerships in with your course offerings?
Well, it is, because that's what, you know, community, that's what I look at it as. That's why we want to have those partnerships, is so that we can, like I'll always say, that world's best workforce. That's what we're trying to do. That's our job as a school, creating the world's best workforce. I mean, truly, that's what we're trying to do.
So I think it sounds wonderful. I mean, I agree with everything you're saying, but it seems extremely complex. I don't know, I mean, I don't know if you could like maybe draw up a plan or something of like, these are the, you know, the key things I see, and like, if I was gonna implement it, I would do this, this, and this. You know, I would introduce some food classes and some manufacturing classes and build the partnerships, and because I mean the sky's the limit with, it's not a SMART goal at all, let's just put it that way, because the sky's the limit with this program. And so if we were just going to start a little bit, what would it be, and is it realistic?
There is someone from Houston County that did write a grant for the 4 Houston County schools to get the work-based coordinator, or Bush grant, but I don't think that one got, I never heard from Courtney.
She's working on another one right now too.
Okay.
Because I mean, I think that, and to the community and college partnerships, I mean, we said that it was important, but it's one of those things we're never, I mean, unless we have somebody really working on it, it's just never gonna, it's a lot of work. And
well, I think we're really, you know, to be honest, I think the community and college partnerships, I feel really good about what's happening right now. Southeast Tech's been great, so we're working on some of those things with them, and they're really, you know, pushing. Again, partially, they're being selfish. They want these kids because it's PSEO dollars, and guess what? They get these dollars, you know. We can say, oh, it's free to our kids, but they're loving it because they're getting them, and we are losing some money if they're going some PSEO. But it's good for businesses, you know. If we look at it, it's, you know, for the economy, and we need to create some of those partnerships. And then the whole community thing, and if you own a business, you know, Courtney probably came around and said, hey, do you want to be in this book? So, you know, she's putting together a really nice book of businesses that will take kids in for an internship, or give kids tours of their place, or come into the classroom and talk. Winona has really done a nice job with that in the Winona Chamber, and so we're trying to replicate some of that stuff with Houston Fillmore County. We're just, you know, a lot smaller, and just, you know, don't have, you know, maybe the student population as Winona does. So I think a lot of that stuff is happening really well right now, because we have some, you know, community people, and like Corinne said, just with this Courtney is doing a really nice job of trying to connect that piece of it. But for our kids, I just, you know, going back to those relevant courses, I mean, that's a tough thing. But if you think about, we have, and I forgot one, you know, we had a full-time Spanish teacher too. So we've lost a lot, you know, and it just kind of, it's like, oh, and I think we're doing a great job. Don't get me wrong. Our kids are getting a great education here, a great foundation, but it would be nice to give them some more opportunities in classes. But that's a little bit of a tricky thing, and can we find someone that would teach half-time, you know, because I don't know if we would be able to sustain full-time, but, you know, that's employee resources, those are expense. That's expensive because it's ongoing, you know.
Well, one of the things, if you talk to the employers, and this is one thing that we have tried to help out, nearly all employers will tell you they have to employ 20 people to get one good one. The work ethics today have gone downhill so badly, and anything we can do to benefit that and help that for the students coming out of here is beneficial for not just us and not just the student, but all those employers out there. They're having a terrible time right now getting employees, and that's all the way from level 1 jobs all the way up to even high-level jobs. They can't get people to do the work, and they have to be prepared for that. And I don't blame the kids. You know, when I connected with the kids, which I still do now, they have opposite ends of the spectrum on online classes. When they viewed them, many of them, there wasn't a middle of the road. It was they loved them or hated them, one or the other. And it was, if they didn't like them, it was because they felt lost. It was above them. And, you know, I'm sure you've made, and constantly are trying to make improvements on that all the time. That's a hard, difficult thing to do. But some of those kids, they've got questions, and they're kind of shy at asking them and in the proper manner. So that makes it difficult.
So, just a wild, crazy idea throw out there. Huh?
Those are the best, I like those.
Not necessarily, but
Uh,
that's what this is for. So I attended a presentation and it was in a public school system, but not in Minnesota. You couldn't do it at the high school level because the curriculum is too locked into state standards and, you know, so, but at the middle school level, so this was, I think it was 6th, 7th, and 8th, but primarily 7th and 8th graders, there were a couple teachers or a teacher that just wrote their own curriculum, and then a subset of students came out of that, and those teachers took care of the math, the science, the ag, whatever. You didn't have to be tied into Southeast Tech. They created their own curriculum and kind of had a little group within a group. A subset of students within the class, and they said they couldn't do it at high school because there was just too many conflicts with reaching graduation standard, but it was possible to do that, and that you could take, where you couldn't get enough kids to take an ag class, you could have 1 or 2 that are interested in ag, 1 or 2 that were interested in technology, 1 or 2 that were interested in something else, and they're a team working on
So when did they do that,
things.
Mike? Is that after school or?
No,
during,
this was
like,
their,
a study time?
this was their school day, and they had to meet the standards for the classes, and they had to do a lot, it's complex. It wasn't just time within that didn't meet their progress towards graduation. It was a lot of work, but it's taken off, and they said that these kids have done some amazing things, and other kids are like, how come they're in and not me? So more kids want in now, you know, after it's been going for a while, and they've had a lot of support from administration, and it was just an interesting idea. So, and then what Pete said with the 2 ends of the spectrum, you know, if we have computers and we have face-to-face, why don't we try to help them in the middle by having a blended class? And some of it's online and some of it's face-to-face, so that you're,
I think that would help with communication.
well, I mean,
Talk about
you know,
that.
I mean, we can do that. We've got the tools. I
Isn't
don't know
that- isn't that
whether we
available?
meet state standards, that's, you know, we can't
Yeah.
not do that, but we have innovative and bright people that can put their
I know
heads together and
We
come up
talked
with
about it
things.
with ag, because we tried to do joint venture, wasn't it, with Caledonia, and try to use some type of
Well, we have
technology.
ITV, we still have ITV 8 classes
Yeah.
with Caledonia, yep.
But the 7th and 8th grade level, wouldn't that be more feasible there?
Yes, again, you know,
I
we'd
mean,
have
from
to
a-
be creative because
Right.
still have licensure issues, you
Right,
know,
yeah.
is a big piece of it.
But as far as the state, we don't run into as many problems with the state at the 7th and 8th grade as you
Oh,
do
no, we have
9
to
through
fill
12.
out the MCCC, the Minnesota Comprehensive Core Catalog.
Right,
We have to
right, you
upload
do.
that on all the 7th and 8th graders too, and K through 1.
But is it as rigorous for them as 9 through 12 to meet certain criteria for graduation?
Well, the presentation I went to was not about a different rigor. It was about the students' schedules in 7th and 8th grade
Mhm.
and the credits that they have to earn. Leave
Right.
some opportunity to work it differently. It wasn't any different standards or meeting any different criteria. And the licensure thing is, I'm sure, an issue. So I don't know whether they had teachers come in and the correctly licensed teacher come in and do whatever, a lesson on whatever. They were aware of that. I mean, they weren't
Well, I'm
not
sorry,
aware of that,
it's just-
but
What if you had a class that was called career exploration or something like that? I mean, forget what you've got right now, but you'd have to have a teacher in that class. But what if you got volunteer? What if you had 2-week segments where maybe you had experts come in? You know, like you would have FlexCraft come in, or you would go to FlexCraft, and for 2 weeks they're working on that, or maybe they're learning how to cook. Maybe there's a 2-week session, but there would always have to be a teacher present, right, managing everything. But then we could hire different experts or ask for volunteers because I don't think, I mean, like when you're talking about the what did you call it? The cooking class, I can't remember what the name of it is.
Food
nutrition.
Food, yeah, food nutrition or whatever. I mean, I can see the difficulty of getting a teacher. You probably only need, not even half, we probably wouldn't even have enough kids for half-time, right? But if we could get them, even to spend a month on that, as part of that, it's beneficial to everyone. So is there a way we could design it so that it's not a full semester and we try to piecemeal it? I'm trying to be creative.
Like a mixed
No,
bag
that's
of
something I
courses.
get
Yeah.
that,
A
you
mixed
know.
bag of courses that we could offer kids, whether to have joint with outside sources.
Or in one
No.
class you sign up for and you're gonna get exposed to, these are the different, these are the things that are either things that we think you should maybe know, like how to cook, some basic things, or maybe how to be a chef, or how to be a waiter or waitress and what that means, or how to work in manufacturing, or but I think if we just leave it up to a business, it's one thing to say business is welcome for tours. It's another for the kid to get experience for a couple weeks doing a job, So I guess that's what I'm trying to say is get them the experience and the bit of education, but not have it last a whole semester.
So, I was at a meeting the other day on Tuesday, Winona Chamber. Winona does this REACH program. I don't know if you've heard about that at all. Really good program. So the kids are taking courses at Winona High School, but then there's some courses that are articulated, but if they're part of this REACH program, once a month, they're in a business, they're working with a business. And at other opportunities, they're actually teaching those kids soft skills. So they'll have a dinner with, the kids, in a formal dinner, and teach them how to do that. And these business leaders are grading the kids on how they're interacting, how they're eating, how they're talking, how they're dressing. And it's been really successful, and they bring them in as juniors. And so they want other partners with that as well, so that's just something, but it's just finding those courses. So they have a manufacturing group, and so they're part of that. So those kids are getting that manufacturing experience, and then they have a health and human service one, and so those kids are there. Again, they're bigger, and so how do we create something? How do we get creative in a small school and maybe jump into that? Because they want to expand it more, because they know there's, future workers in Houston or in Rushford or in Caledonia or so they want the chamber really wants a connection there with kids in the school, and they've had success there at Winona, and so that's something. But again, it's okay, how do we teach some of these classes? Winona High School can have a manufacturing class because they have the facility, they have enough kids in that class. We probably don't, or and that's so we're trying to figure that piece out. But I like that idea of getting a little bit more experience within that manufacturing, health, and
And kind of like a
services.
career
So,
class with
whatever.
multiple different career opportunities, but maybe segments.
But just a little longer period of
Yeah,
time sometimes. Learning how to cook. I agree. Sometimes that might be a skill that some of these kids need, but sometimes they pick it up on their own. My own kids go, yeah, how do I do laundry? How do I cook? When they're on their own, they just say, oh, okay, here, let me show you how to make frozen pizza.
Would
Yeah,
we have a licensure problem with that though? Because when I was here, I taught a career class, but it was a little more structured than that would be more open to different areas.
It could. It depends on how it's structured, and if you're really teaching some skills of a certain area, yeah, you might have to have it. But the way the tiered system is now, things are a little bit different on teacher license, but we'd still have to be really cautious on that. But I mean, that's one idea. But I think our kids I know they're wanting for more on-site electives, and Crystal Sabota will say the same thing when kids come in and look and they just don't always want the online classes, even though we think it's good for them to take at least one, because they get to college, tech school, their online courses. It's amazing how many online courses Southeast Tech has now. Probably half their curriculum is now online for the kids to take, so they need that experience. But that exploration of some of those other hands-on, I think, would be really good for our kids, and I think we're missing out on some of those.
Yeah, well,
So-
that's what, when you that's what I was trying to suggest, something that we do here rather than taking the kids totally online or even out of the community. Like just the teachers that presented, that took these 7th and 8th graders, they went to the big empty Kmart, you know where the Kmart is in La Crosse, that's across from Festival, and those kids went in and they had to do the design and they had to come up with the ideas and how would they repurpose this big space, and they had to go pitch it to the city council. And they had to write up a plan and they had to do research, and it was just one of those things that is just you know, making use of these students using this thing in the community to generate some ideas, and keep it local. And it's not easy to do, but it's.
Well, I think the long range out of that is that you have certain students that become extremely motivated by
doing that.
A particular area, and then that becomes their interest, and that's what they pursue in life. And otherwise, they wouldn't have been exposed to it. And we all know there's too many people out there that do jobs that they're not cut out for and kind of fumble their way through life. And so that would be a good introductory for them.
You mentioned Winona's doing similar type of things, correct?
Yeah, Winona's,
So is
with the
there-
beach and,
Have you talked to them? I mean,
Yes.
obviously you talked to them how they're doing it, you know, and how can we get that here in Houston?
Well,
How
but
do you
that-
get started with it
but
here?
again, that REACH program, when I was there, I mean, the chamber is saying, hey, you know, if you're interested, you know, and I'm just trying to figure out, okay, how we can do that. I'm definitely interested, because I think there could be some high value in that, especially for our kids, getting some of those soft skills and then getting them out to those places of business. I just don't know if our kids have enough exposure to what's all out there. I mean, I look at a company like Miken and, you know, and what they're doing, and you talk to the people that are working there, and they're just working all the time because of the number of bats that are going out of their, you know, company is crazy, and all the helmets in the, you know, the National Baseball League, they're all made in Miken, you know, and so they need engineers that are making 6 figures, and then they need people that are just, you know, producing them, and, you know, so great business, you know, that's.
But I don't think a lot of the kids necessarily know.
Correct.
You know, when they look at, you know, a Bay State in Winona or a Miken up in, you know, Caledonia, they're thinking, I'm not gonna do grunt work. You know, I wanna make 6 figures. Well, you know, this is how it is. It goes from here to here. You can make that working in Caledonia. But you have to have go to school, you have to get the knowledge and education, but.
And
You
we've
know,
got a
these-
Centec right here.
Yeah, you got the
in town.
Centec here, and
So that's a piece of what we're looking at too, and that's that booklet that was being put together is, yeah, we'll take kids in, and so the goal is then to take a day and just, you know, maybe take our 10th graders, and we're gonna go to like 3-4 different businesses in Houston and maybe Fillmore County and learn more about the business, so the kids know what's out there and how many different jobs are, you know, that they have, you know, because they have accountants there, and they have, you know, so, and here's a job, right, you know, close to you, because there's a lot of kids that don't want to move out of this area. Plus, you know, for the economy, we kind of need them to stay around here as well. So, yeah, you have that, but you also have, and again, I'm going back to the courses, I just think it'd be good for our kids to have some more on-site opportunities for some courses, and what those are. Yeah, we'd probably have to do a pretty good survey of the kids to figure it out, but you know, we offer, if we say, hey, you know, pick from any of these courses, you know, what we're gonna get is 2 kids for this course, 2 kids for this course. You'd almost have to, you know, tighten that a little bit of what maybe makes sense, where we could, you know, look at, you know, a halftime teacher to teach a few more courses that would be on site to give them, you know,
that'd be nice to have
opportunities.
somebody come in, kind of like what Mimi and Mike Lean both said, you know, kind of bring them in, have segmented classes of career class of multiple things, and
Well, and there's some, I think too, if you ask, and this might be where we engage the community a bit, but if we went around the room and you said, what is one thing you think is really important? Like, for instance, what a chamber of commerce is, they should go to a chamber meeting and understand what they do, and what's Robert's rules and how does it work? You know, or Ron might, if I ask Ron, put him on the spot, he might have something that it's like, you know, kids should really know this when they graduate, and include some of that stuff as well. It's not even let them pick, but it's like, hey, you know, if you're gonna be a good citizen, you should really know this, this, this. I mean, I guess everybody doesn't go to a chamber meeting, but people should know that, you know, what a chamber of commerce is at the very least, and that we have one. So, because then we might get more members, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if we want our town to survive, I mean, it's kind of needed, so.
So what do you think our teachers feel about some of this stuff?
Well, I mean, I don't think we'd have a problem saying, oh, let's, you know, offer more courses, you know. I think they'd go, oh, you mean I'm gonna get cut? I mean, then, you know, of course, that would be, you know, it's like, okay, we're gonna add more courses here, but then we're gonna have to cut here. Well, yeah, of course, people might think, oh, that's my job. But, you know, if we say, no, let's look at adding a couple more, I don't think they'd have a problem. Now, you know, how could we do something if it's a more intense career exploration, you know, at a little, you know, that's a possibility. You know, I don't think that's something that our teachers would, you know, yeah, they might be concerned about licensure, you know, if someone's licensed in it, but.
I like your idea for the fitness for life, can't you? I mean, that just seems like that could be nutrition, that could be budgeting, that could be, I mean, you know.
We could, again.
I mean, I think that's a
mental health.
mental
we have
health,
physical
health.
education.
But,
mental
you know,
education.
again, we could do
Maybe
it,
a pool of stuff.
but we'd need more staff.
So
So-
can you, and maybe I'm jumping the gun here, but can you write, I don't know how to take it to the next step, but because it's like so
What would your
big.
plan
Just
be?
give me 2 more teachers at the high school and let me deal with it. So,
Yeah.
I'm making it easy and I'll
Yeah.
find it.
Give us a justification for getting.
I'm
two
getting more kids.
teachers
I'm getting,
and
you know,
kids.
everyone tells me about this big 6th grade class, so I'm getting more kids, so I deserve a couple more
okay.
teachers.
You gotta
You're getting a
replace them on
science
the other end
class.
too.
You know, and I don't
And we
think
get
we're,
more money for kids at the high school too, so, you know, there's another thing.
well, I don't
Yeah.
think we're against getting more teachers if we had a plan and knew how they were gonna be used. I mean, I don't wanna speak for the board, but I mean, this is our time to dream, right? And so if this is what your dream, and then now keep it kinda small, we don't have to be super big, but
Well, I understand.
you know, I mean, a realistic dream, and then all we can do is talk about it. But this is kind of our chance to talk about what your number one wish is. And remember, we already gave you the science.
Yeah. So,
I know that
Yeah,
don't get
I-
pushy.
I'm gonna keep asking.
great.
Farmington is considerably bigger than us, but part of their strategic plan is allowing their teachers to come up with ideas for just these kinds of things.
Yeah, you know, and that's one thing I've done for years. Every time I put the course catalog out there, I ask the teachers to, okay, updates for the current classes, and if you have any ideas, you know, let me know ideas for classes. And Kyle's done a nice job with that, with some auto tech and stuff, and said, you know, hey, how about an auto tech class? Okay, give me the idea, what is it? Okay, great. But, you know, then one of his other classes are now out the door. So, you know, if you look at our industrial tech, we probably have 15 different course offering possibilities, but we can't offer that many. So some of those classes are just every other year or every 3rd year or something like that, depending on how many kids.
But maybe
So-
there's a way to combine some of these things. You know, the industrial tech courses with math or
Oh,
with
Kyle's
business
already
or.
infusing math into all of his industrial tech classes.
But I think there's just,
Kyle's
yeah.
doing a good job.
But the
That's
problem is,
easy work.
there's just courses, we just need more so
Yeah.
that the kids have an opportunity for some more classes. Because when we do say he can only teach this many classes, then we're now limiting, you know, some of these kids, and some of these kids just don't have a lot of good opportunities for electives. You know, especially when in the schedule, you're a small school and trying to schedule that and, you know, okay, you have only so many teachers, it's really difficult to do that. I mean, you know, big school, you know, okay, I can have English 9, 7 hours of the day, you know, so then that's easy, so a kid can take their English 9 whatever. Well, I can have it 1 to 2 hours, and I have to make sure then with the other classes they're teaching, so it's really complex, you know, putting a master schedule together, especially with fewer and fewer teachers. So, but yeah, you know, love to be able to, you know, have a few more things. And I mean, I can look at it and just saying, okay, you know, if we were to offer these, you know, would kids take it? So it's, you know, that would be the best way to do it.
So you gotta
Can
keep
I put
going.
it a game?
Yeah.
Thank you. That was wonderful.
So we got through basically course offerings with Todd.
We got through all the Todds, I think, though.
Well, I think
talked about
some of the
everything.
technology stuff. Just feel like we're having that.
marketing needed.
Right.
Well, I mean, just to, I don't know how we're driving this, we have this form, now we're jumping all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we just took advantage of Todd being here.
Well, okay, I'll wait.
No, go ahead. Go.
Well, Corinne asked about taking home computers, and Todd isn't so sure about that, and I guess how do we feel about that? I mean, I think with all the snow days we've had, and with, I mean, I just cannot believe
Well, I know
we're not sending the tool home. This is the textbook, it is the tool. I mean, e-learning, I don't know what the MDE guidelines for e-learning days are. I know that they're pushing to expand them now, but we don't even use them at all.
I think they have
We
to
needed to-
verify.
There's a system, or not, well, there's a procedure that has to be followed. You have to submit the intent to have up to 5 e-learning days with MDE with your plan. The plan needs to indicate the communication that's going to go out to all parents and students when they will be having e-learning days. And also, you need to make sure that you have done a survey of households to know who has devices, or if you are sending devices home, that they can be used within the home. So if it's a Chromebook and it requires a wireless connection, you have to make sure that that child has, if they don't have a wireless connection in their home, they've got access to some other wireless connection. And so we would need to be doing those steps first, and then we need to inform parents before September 1 that we would be doing this, but then we'd have to look at, in some cases, I know Spring Grove started with their 1-to-1, everybody was taking things home and then filling out the insurance policy, contract use policy. And some of the parents decided that they felt it was better for them, instead of continually paying for all the damage done to the computer, to just buy their own student's computer that they could keep at home, and then the school computer stayed at school. So the superintendent there said that the majority of kids now, their school computer, because the school bought computers for each child just like we have, but those computers for about 80% of the kids stay at school. And there's only about 20% of the kids that actually use the documentation to do the take home without that insurance policy and whatnot.
So, I mean, that seems feasible. I mean, because
Well, I'm just wondering whether we should pursue this or not, because Todd was hesitating, but we haven't even gotten off square one to do the survey or to do any of that. And if there's no interest in doing that, I'm fine with it.
Well,
But if there is an interest, let's get started.
How do they monitor the student doing the work on the computer?
Schoology, it's.
Because mom and dad aren't there. They're at work.
No, but you
So-
school, I mean, that's
mean, you
not
can-
the
you can-
concern. It's
But Schoology's not ready. We're not ready to, like, for instance, William's in 6th grade. Is Schoology ready for him in 6th grade?
but that's
and-
all
Yeah,
But it's
that's.
part of making everything,
Yeah,
all
but
this
in
has
the-
to be done.
Oh,
in a line.
Schoology is ready as far as are the teachers, I know they're all there. They haven't maybe opened it up to the students, but I know the material is in Schoology already.
So the elementary school, everything is in there, all the curriculum?
All the ELA curriculum is in there and all the math curriculum is in there. And I think 6th grade has, science is all online, so the science links are in there.
And so just so you know, what happened over the snow days for us is my 6th grader said, I need to do a report. Can I use your computer? And I said, no, it's my work computer. So he went to his dad and his dad said, it's my work computer. He went to Lily and she said, no. Sorry, you can't use any computer. I mean, we already have 3 and I'm not gonna let him use what I use for work when he's gonna be searching for who knows what on the internet and where he'll end up. So either as a parent, I expect a computer to come home or a note that says you need to buy your child a laptop at this age. Otherwise, I expect for them to be getting it at school, you know? I don't know, Josh, do you let your kids use? I guess maybe you're not on the computer as much, but Maybe you have a family computer you guys all share, I don't know.
Well, we're pretty, no, we've got plenty of devices around.
Yeah,
But I would say that we could not request that the child purchase a computer. We're gonna definitely get negative feedback on that. I mean, we all sitting around here would say, yeah, absolutely, but there are gonna be plenty of objections. Even the families that have with no problem financially doing it, they would really have some negative feedback on that.
well, what Corinne is saying is you either need to,
Yeah, the option. I like the option.
they have to
where,
pay
you know,
insurance?
No, that's different. Yes,
Yeah.
they came to that realization on their own. That's much different than being told this is what you're.
Mhm. Well, I think that would be the easier pill for the parents to swallow. It's okay, you have an option.
There's a survey right there.
Well, the first question is, are we gonna pursue e-learning days or not? Because there's a whole lot of things that have to be in place before we get to what are the options. I mean, even what are the options?
Could we pursue it if we wanted to? Could we pursue it this next year? I mean, everything is in place so that we could do it this next year.
We would have to look at different, take-home policies. We'd have to figure out what take-home policy would be right for us. We would have to, do the survey to see which homes have internet, and, if there's that threat of an, it's not a threat, but if there's the possibility of an e-learning day, like this year, it could have been any other day, then for those students that don't have connectivity at home, the Chromebook could still work, but they would have to know what to download onto the desktop, so that when they
The
open
day
it up,
before.
they'd have to know
Right.
that, so when they open it up, they don't have to have an internet connection, and they could still work on things at home.
Well, I don't think that's a big deal. We know pretty much ahead
The
of
other
time.
thing to look at this,
Yeah.
with the teachers for e-learning, you need to verify that the teachers can, for that entire school day, so from 8 until 3:30, the teachers have to be available via email and phone.
Is that something we'd have to put in the master?
Yep. But we're negotiating this year.
Yeah, I know, that's what I was saying. The time to do it would be now.
The time to do it is now.
I mean, I
But
don't,
it would take that type of, study for all of the components to have a take-home one-to-one, and usually it's a take-home one-to-one, and it doesn't go any lower than third grade. Third grade is usually the first year that they do that. They don't have the take-home for K1 and 2.
So these e-learning days can be scheduled on the fly. They would take the place of a snow day.
well,
or-
you would have to make sure that everybody.
and then that
agrees to
counts
correct?
as a.
It counts
It's
as-
school day.
It
Right.
counts
You've
as
seen
a
it
school
on,
day.
if you watch the news lately, when you see people this off day and then you
Rushford
see
or
their
Crescent,
so-and-so
e-learning day
learning
today.
day.
Yeah.
So that tells
You
the
can
kids that
only
you have to
use
be on.
5,
Yeah.
and one of the complaints is that a neighboring school has used 7 e-learning days. Well, they can only count 5 of them as their daily membership days.
But they are pushing to increase that from 5 to.
That was
Yes.
one of the things
Seven
that
or
that
10.
legislators.
Isn't
So-
there even a
So why don't we do
stipulation there
this?
about if you
So
don't
one of our
have
goals should
access
be to
to
get a survey
internet?
underway.
Or
Yeah.
something
I
in
mean, the
the
technology committee
rules of the
hasn't met
state
to
that
discuss
way.
this.
That was my
for
next
student
question.
who
I had it
doesn't
written
have
down right there, 'cause
accessibility.
you guys talked
The
about it.
school has to
We have not met.
that-
make,
Okay.
yeah, and so no, the district technology advisory committee has not met because we were waiting for the strategic planning, and I wanted to.
So
know what the
I would
goals were.
say, I mean, let's go around the room. Michaeline, are you in
Well,
favor
you
of?
know, I wanna
wanna,
explore
okay.
it, I wanna
Jane?
question,
Yes, agree.
pursue.
Ron?
Well, yeah, we
I
need
think-
that, and we need to know how the parents feel, so we need a survey,
Mhm.
for sure.
Well,
say
I
it's
think
start.
I think it's wonderful. I am a little concerned that not everything is all in. I don't get a warm and fuzzy about everything being in Schoology and ready to go. And I definitely don't think the kids would know how to find the stuff. So I think we've got a lot of work to do. Even if you take the laptops out of it, I feel like just using Schoology and the kids knowing what to do is another big concern of mine, that we would be ready to do it this fall. I don't know, cause I thought it was a 3-year rollout of Schoology, and I think we're in the first year, so
It
I don't
is.
know
And so for those things
we're
that,
that far ahead.
for
I don't
those
know.
things, what,
I was
we've
gonna
got
ask a
English,
question.
language arts and math, and so maybe for those e-learning days, if we do e-learning next year at the elementary, then they would know that they're going to be doing assignments in English, reading, language arts, math, and maybe science. And so then they might not have the social studies on there yet.
There was a
But that
date
they would
that they
be-
were gonna have it all
Yep.
done.
For an
Yeah, it's
early
coming up
learning
this year.
day, you could just pick some subjects, you don't have to.
Yeah, what are the
do them all.
requirements to consider it a complete day? Is there some state guidelines on the?
This is pretty,
Not really, because in some schools, the parents have said e-learning is really not anything at all, and in others, I know that, in La Crescent, some students were emailing the superintendent begging that they come to school no matter what, because they can't take another e-learning day, cause it's too much work. Because every teacher made sure that they had assignments that took a full hour, and the kids are like, classes are 48 minutes, you're giving me an hour on an e-learning day, stop. You know,
get over.
So can I, when you say that the curriculum is all on there, is that the scope and sequence, or all the assignments are also there?
the assignments,
Okay,
and I'm not sure if they are, they're there, but as far as having kids accessing them, or the ability for kids to access
right,
them.
but it's
I-
just,
no.
it's different to say the curriculum's there if it's just, this is the scope and sequence of the course, and this is all the learning activities that go with it.
No,
That's-
they,
that was my
as they were
question.
doing it, they were loading the assignments week by week. Because I
think that would
didn't
be
want them
something
to
we
have to double
verify
it or
too,
anything.
is to ensure that it's in there.
You were asking if people were in favor and you stopped
Yeah,
me.
I know. So you're good, Pete?
Well, I think you have to start now if you're gonna do it for next year. I mean,
Well, even if you're gonna do it in 3 years,
have a
we need to
lot.
start now.
Yeah, you have a lot not in place yet.
Yeah.
And so, I think it's worth starting,
Yeah.
but you gotta, I think you gotta ask the parents. You gotta survey the parents, see what they think about it, with them having a full understanding of what it is. Because somehow when it goes out to them, it's gotta fully explain it.
And there's a neighboring school district that has
Yeah.
got a parent group that's very opposed to the way they're rolling out
Yeah.
learning days.
So that's why if you
it's
get
not
there.
See, I went to the early bird session, board's role in, in technology implementation. That was so you
Definitely
implement it the
pursuing.
right way and you have less of a chance of that, right? Hopefully,
Right,
that's what we're,
So maybe we should have a technology committee meeting to come up with questions that they may put on that survey.
well, so is this, I could take it that this is is this our big technology utilization goal? That by the fall of 2019, we have developed all the necessary plans to institute a one-to-one take-home and e-learning days,
Say that again?
the option. By the
well, I
fall,
don't know, is it reasonable to do that with, over the summer? I don't know that that's enough time with as much as there is.
Let's see where we're at.
Okay.
Let's see where we're at in meeting the criteria, and then,
if it's that goal and we don't make it, then
We have to
we
roll it
have to,
out.
we have to revisit the goal
The timeline
anyway.
with that.
But should we shoot for by the fall of 2020, or by the fall
Well,
of
I would like to,
2019?
but my concern is that I don't know how the principals feel, and I
Right.
heard one principal that was
Was very
hesitant
hesitant
on
about
this,
it.
so I mean, so I guess that's, you know,
The principals would be they're part of the district tech advisory committee.
wasn't he more hesitant on the computer issue?
The take home, because he,
Yeah,
it's-
the
Okay.
equipment, not
maybe
the-
not the e-learning
Right.
idea, okay.
okay, so what I have is,
What do
and
you wanna add
Maybe
to
he's
it?
got something to say.
Yeah.
Well, I
about
was just gonna
the
say, well, okay, so I like it in that it's expanding on Schoology, which was our main goal from before.
Mhm.
But I think we said, I'm still a little caught up because we said Schoology was going to take multiple years to implement
fully,
And so that doesn't need to be implemented fully before we do this. Okay, so I think it needs to be both, because the last thing we wanna do is stop Schoology.
Yeah.
We have to continue Schoology and adding on implementing the e-learning days. That's my 2 cents.
Well, we can't do the e-learning days without
Right.
Schoology being
Right.
fully implemented. I mean, as far as,
You just said we
well,
could.
Well,
no,
we can
no,
do
as
it,
far as,
but
as
it's
far as
gotta-
really making sure that e-learning is there, that Schoology has to be with it.
So
and
they
we can
basically
do
have to go
e-learning with
together.
what we have.
But I don't want us to do Schoology up to the point where we 75% implemented it, and now we're doing e-learning and we never get that last 25% done.
E-learning e-learning can't happen without Schoology. And so,
But it sounds like it can happen before Schoology is fully implemented.
Can that be, is that?
But I
because-
want that to be fully.
Right, we're,
I don't
we're
wanna
still
stop at
working
partial.
toward, because for the e-learning days to be as robust as possible, Schoology will be fully implemented, but we can do e-learning with core subjects there first. And so,
So I think
This-
it needs to say both, so
Right.
that everyone understands that they're tied together and that they're both important.
okay,
And I think there needs to be some clarity on what needs to be, if you're telling the state is kind of up in the air on what classes they have to take for an e-learning day, and what timelines they have to take, and, you know.
no, the state leaves a lot of that up to local discretion
Okay.
as far as what constitutes a full day of e-learning.
Okay.
They're more prescriptive on the fact that the teacher has to be available by
Well, that's
both
where you have to-
email and by phone.
I think
And
that's
so-
something that we need to discuss in this negotiation time coming up, to make sure that's incorporated in there.
So I have another question that's probably related to the e-learning. Does,
Mhm.
does having Schoology and or e-learning in place and devices going home make possible students working from home under situations of injury or inability to come here? And that's not an e-learning day, but it's an opportunity not to miss school and not to miss their work?
Correct.
I know my daughter did that this year. She used her computer, she has her own, you know, and contacted her teachers and they sent them all her assignments. And she
But if
was
we had a
working from
device that
home.
went home for,
Yeah.
you know, then
Mhm.
that,
I mean,
that
that
makes that
works out
possible, so
nice.
that's
Right.
something in between, just.
So the kids don't get behind, because that can
Exactly,
be.
so, just another reason to pursue, or another thing to put in the community questionnaire.
Oh,
So
you're on the technology committee, right?
do the class days stay the same then, as far as like how many days we have? Cause we had built-in snow days.
Yeah.
Would we have 7 built-in snow days? And instead we'd have,
About 9.
but we would know about would it just stay the same?
It
Yeah.
would just stay the same.
And we would just know 5 of those would be e-learning.
Well, we
If
could
we
use
Well,
up
we-
need
to
it.
Up to.
We could use up to 5, and they don't count against that, the 9 that we have in the padding.
So do we need to pad that much? That's, I guess, my question.
We have 4.6 hours, and we are gonna drop below
Oh,
the,
wow.
1,020 hours. So,
So we're gonna be
um,
extending the school year, or having school on
Extending
Saturday
the
if we
days.
have one more snow day.
15 minutes each day. while-
But if we have 9
Easter
days
Sunday.
built in, and we have 5 e-learning, that's
That-
14 now.
yes, and with
That's
this year,
good.
that's probably what we need.
That's a good thing. I mean, to have too many is fine,
Okay.
but because
Yeah.
to not have them available would be bad.
And right now, I've got teachers saying, can you please stop the snow? And I can't, but, the, senior teachers, the teachers with seniors in the room saying, I can't get to everything they need by the end of the year. As far as getting ready for state tests,
But you're gonna
I've got
talk
this.
to the teachers and the principals and try to get things time-wise to make sure it happens,
Oh,
right?
they're hitting but they have lost 8 days. And, that's a week and a half. And that puts them behind the 8 ball as far as their lesson plans and their scope and sequence.
But they're looking at how.
Oh,
they're gonna-
yeah, they're
And
constantly
you're-
looking, that's what they're doing during the snow day, is trying to figure out how to put in.
So what's,
Can you read the strategic goal? We interrupted you.
Okay, so what I have. By the fall of 2019, Houston Public Schools will work to implement That's where I stopped and the conversation started again.
Okay,
So-
that's.
Learning.
E-learning.
Work to implement all necessary
Steps.
Do you wanna say
components.
fully implement Schoology first and then the e-learning days, or do you
Or
wanna
we
say
won't get
e-learning days
Schoology
first?
for 3
No.
years, or
Yeah, we'll synchronous.
So Schoology still on 3 years.
Keep going.
By the fall of 2019, Houston Public Schools will work to implement all necessary components, which includes
the
Schoology. To allow students to take home
To explore e-learning, just leave.
we want to
Implement.
Amy, are you hoping to just expand the areas or the teachers that are struggling in implementing Schoology? Just to, obviously some took to it much quicker and have had much more success. Are you saying that we should expand or dig in deeper on why implementation is slower in some areas, or what? I know you have some frustration there, so.
Oh, no, I was just trying to make it be one goal.
well, necessary components, and so then indicators of success, that's why I've got this column. So what I've got as a goal, by the fall of 2019, Houston Public Schools will work to implement all necessary components to allow students to be able to access e-learning at home.
Yeah.
Okay, indicators of success,
Oh, okay.
continuation of the implementation of Schoology.
Yeah, can we get that more nailed down though? Like, what do we wanna see by the end of year 2?
Well,
And what
Instead of
year
just-
is that? Is that
Yeah,
2021?
I mean, so now we got everybody,
One?
I mean, I can't remember what the first goal was. It was
that you have courses on.
to have one
yeah,
course
you're right.
on by the end of so-and-so,
It's
so
supposed to
what's
be like
the,
April of
what's
this
the
year or
measurable
something.
outcome?
You know what? District Tech Committee could maybe work.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
That's true.
So I'll
I
put
think those are in
responsible
our
group or
notes and stuff.
person that,
District Tech.
right. So I put District Tech Advisory Committee as a responsible person or group. So indicators, I've got just continuation of the implementation of Schoology as one. And I know that that's not as specific as you'd like, but we will flesh that out in the District Tech Advisory Committee.
Yeah, so then playing the devil's advocate here, you've made the point several times that District Tech Advisory Committee is a district-wide tech committee and should not be, focused only on the local schools, so
You're
what,
absolutely right.
so,
Should we do a subcommittee of
well,
that?
that's what I'm asking, who should be the responsible party, who is the most, and,
I think the District Tech Committee, yes, it's a district committee, but it can talk about items.
but
only
we have
for our
online
school.
teachers and Angela is probably part of it, and I just, I just don't wanna waste people's time, I wanna put the right people at the table to move it forward.
If I've got District Tech Advisory Committee on-site subcommittee of that committee, would that maybe be a better use of people's time?
I'm asking for your recommendation, cause you're the one who's raised the questions several
Well, that
times.
would be my recommendation, because we've got a lot of online people on that, and it
It
doesn't.
makes sense to only have the,
They don't even use Schoology,
Site.
right?
Exactly,
They
because
use
that's what
D2L.
it pertains to.
exactly, you're
So
right.
I would say, correct.
So the District Tech Advisory Committee will need to
Meet,
form an on-site
On-site
subcommittee to
subcommittee
pursue this,
Correct.
okay.
okay. So indicators of success, we've got the, state plan for e-learning days,
Mhm.
which covers a lot of components, and then we've got to look at, surveying, Ron, you said surveying parents?
You did some-
Well,
I
yeah,
think we should survey the teachers and we should survey
Yeah,
the kids
everybody
too, we
that's
should
involved.
survey people.
You
I
do
mean-
this is-
And, we also wanna know how many people are actually, capable at home of doing it. I mean,
Well,
if we
that-
have
That's part
40%
of it.
of the people that can't do it, then we're gonna have to rethink that.
But at that broadband thing I went to, there are ways around that. But if we find out there's a certain segment, there are grants and there are devices that you can get that are hotspots that make it possible. But you have to know who those families and where those locations are.
Right.
So I don't think that that means we can't pursue it.
No, and if there's
And I think
curriculum that they can download the day before or
Right.
prior to,
Then
where
they can-
Yeah, I
then they
like
can
that
still
idea.
do it, even if they don't have
That's
those
right.
type of things. So
And
there's
if
some
I'm-
options there.
If I'm hearing right on this Spring Grove model there, that having insurance is, if you have
Every place that has a take-home policy has the insurance, and so what we can
so
do
that
is,
helps them to opt to use their own computers too, so we'd like to kind of know that.
okay, so we would indicate there's a selection of
How much is the insurance?
it depends on, some actually have like an in-home, in-site self-insurance, and some actually go out and get a true insurance policy. Some, it's the, every parent has to submit a check for the cost of the computer, and it's only cashed if the computer is damaged and they need to take part of it.
That's not gonna be popular.
No, it's not like, hey, it's $100 for insurance.
Well, it's,
I mean, we're not gonna tell them how much it costs.
oh, no, they fill out the, so, for some, it's a, whatever the price of, I know Spring Grove, their first rollout gave everybody a MacBook, so that's not
That's-
$100.
No.
So they,
But in the survey, you're gonna have to indicate to them those costs and everything too.
Yeah.
Don't we have insurance on our Chromebooks? Didn't we
If
purchase?
they're here.
yeah, if they're,
They're covered.
Yeah,
And you just have to check, cause some people's homes insurance maybe cover that, or, but it depends on their deductible. But I mean, what are Chromebooks now,
149.
149, I think, or something, you get a special price on them?
that's, yeah,
So when your insurance have to be,
no, our insurance doesn't,
No, I
if
mean-
it's a take-home.
I mean, my home.
You also have to think about security issues and filtering and making sure that if they're using our device, that they're not getting to
oh, there's a lot.
untoward sites.
Why I don't let my kids
Well-
use my work computer.
Well, I think
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
the number one point when we talk to the parents especially and the students is to advertise the pluses of this, why this would be a huge win.
Oh,
I agree,
And just kind of win them over there, and then here's, you know,
You can get.
this is what we're asking of you.
So,
And like Pete said, we're gonna have some, there will be some that will fight it to the end. And then we're gonna have to come up with a plan.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually think based on the breakfast that we had with the students, I mean, I think that some of these parents are gonna be like, what's this all about? And the kids are aware that their cousins and their neighbors and neighboring districts are all doing this, and so they're more informed on what it is than the parents are.
is it are we opening it up for the kids to take it home every night, or is it just for an e-learning day? Or is
No.
it, do you have the option just for an e-learning day?
Oh, you never know when it's gonna
Well,
snow.
you do kind of.
So it would basically.
Well, that's true.
And are you gonna take it home every day?
I've been predicting pretty good.
Well, maybe you can make it to stop snowing.
Well, no, I read the weather and then Crane cancel
Pennsylvania,
school.
I'm curious what some of the other districts do then for those select students or parents that,
I can get policies or the procedures from other
Yeah,
districts, so I
then,
can.
So-
then you can look them, we can look them over and,
I
you know,
mean-
why reinvent the wheel if it's already being utilized, so maybe tweak it to our
I'm sure
needs.
it's got it, the Crescent's got it.
I see the parents mostly going for it,
Maybe we need a mini
Until they
goal of
maybe
having
find
a
out some
survey ready in
costs.
a month or-
and then that,
But that's part of the,
Right.
informing people up
Right.
front, and
I guess the question is then, if you help out those select few, then you might have some screaming equal, you know. I'm just curious to see how they've worked that in the past as far as a policy.
well, you just have to be consistent. You give them options, and they
Mhm.
get one of these 2 or 3 options. It's
That's
the
it.
one they wanna live with.
And in the elementary, and we just need to be careful with this too, so that we know what grades, you know, because, you know, we talked with high schoolers and they really wanted to take the Chromebooks home. You know, I mean, it was one of the things that did come up, but I'm hesitant about the elementary kids taking them home every night, you know. snow days, yes,
And
but
that's-
every night, I don't know.
That's why I said I've never seen one that goes below third grade. Some start in sixth.
I'm talking
some
about a
start in-
sixth grader, and I don't know that I'd want to bring him home every day.
Bouncing it.
Yeah.
The lower the grade you.
On the backpack and
If
Oh,
it's more
yeah.
damage, the lower the grade, the higher the damage
What they
potential.
found is actually middle school has the highest damage.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's slightly younger than middle
Goes
school,
along
you're
with the
fine.
hormones.
Middle school, it's horrendous. That's sixth, seventh,
They
and
don't
eighth grade.
throw
That's
stuff.
right.
And then senior high gets much better.
Okay.
Okay, so what
So
I've
where are
got
we at
as
now?
far as the indicators is, continuation of the implementation of Schoology, state plan for e-learning days, surveying teachers, parents, and students, selection of a take-home procedure.
Okay.
Is there anything else we need?
We can always tweak it a little bit. if we
Yeah, I
need to.
think that
I
the
think it'll be-
district tech can work on it,
Yeah.
right?
And then timeline?
I think we need to get
You're looking
a
at-
survey out within a month.
Well, September first, you said, I mean, we need to look
Yeah.
at where we're at in a short, I mean, just see where we're at, but
Like
that
Ron
should be
just
the
said,
time,
maybe
that should be
get
the
this-
time
Get
point,
the
right?
survey put together within
In
the
August, sometime in August.
Well, we need to start this probably, we have to have the district tech advisory committee meet beginning of
Immediately.
March.
March.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I would say by the end of March, have the survey together to be sent out.
And you need it for making up the school calendar.
Right.
As well. So you know what should be-
Because by then, we're gonna be, time will fly.
Very profound.
Mm-hmm.
That was very profound. Thank you.
Time will fly.
Just trying to be politically correct and nice.
Well, there's gotta be a string of puns we can get into with that
Not
one.
right now.
Don't get him
encourage-
started.
Okay, so what I've got is beginning of March, the DTAC meets and forms subcommittee. Beginning of April, we do the surveying, and then in May, begin planning for state plan and take-home procedures. Okay. Okay, one down, 3 to go.
I'm happy, so I'm gonna be quiet.
So, now that we've been graced with, Mr. Parts here, thank you for showing up. Maybe we can go through his,
He was at conferences, so he has been working.
no, I'm
The
not saying
entire-
that, it's not, no.
For a change, is that what you're saying?
I said the entire day.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
why don't we take up another hour or so of his time and go through these of his,
What's your wish list?
Yeah, so what we did with Todd, who was at the game, is we just said, so we have relevant course offerings, technology utilization, marketing, community college partnerships, and we told him that the high school science rooms was #1 on his list, and so we already put that on there. And then we said, what's next on your list? So what's on your wish list
And I'm
for the
assuming you've
elementary?
seen-
Todd said I was supposed to say the high school science room was first on my list too.
It's funny, yeah, that's good.
and you've seen this list, right, of
Yeah, it's those, your goals.
your
It's-
goals?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep.
That's kind of what we're going off of, if you had an option to pick.
I want to run with STEAM. I think the teachers really want to focus in on that. And that's a goal that they're working on. So there are a lot of different ways that we can approach that with, be it stuff, be it curriculum, be it training. But I think that's
Is it a
come-
course offerings or
That's,
technology?
that's.
That'd be
relevant-
science.
That's relevant course
Yeah,
offerings.
okay.
Yep.
So that's your one big wish in the elementary school, like unlimited budget is to focus on STEAM.
Unlimited budget.
I'm just
We're just
saying,
throwing it out there. It's like a-
She was trying to
it
say.
doesn't seem
this
big
was-
enough, I don't know.
Okay.
We're
And
not- we're
It's
not
your
adding
chance, I
it.
mean, we're not gonna ask you
And
this
then
again for a
through
while.
For
science,
10 years.
through science, we would do food science, which would mean a new cafeteria. And
That's
then,
already on the list of wants, needs.
sorry. I-
No, be honest about what, cause you
Well,
want the maker spaces too, which is.
I would like
it's a
maker
STEAM.
spaces. I would like to beef up the LEAP program, which was the gifted program, and I would like to keep moving forward with giving as much science as we can, be it coding, computer training, use of the equipment that we have, and looking what we can buy. And
What's
then,
the makerspace?
I think that might be listed in there someplace in the library, that we have some materials. And so as a room becomes available next year, wait, back. Yeah, I just called it STEAM activity kits rather than maker
Okay.
things in the library, last sentence. And then as we get a room available, when we have a large class comes over here and we have a room available, it'd be great to turn that into something for technology. So that would be my number one. I think my teachers are running with it in their PLCs. And
So would you say using the free classroom as a, the makerspace STEAM room?
I could see that happening. I want to meet with my staff and say, this is what we're looking at, and have it staff driven as opposed to principal driven. But as I go around and talk to them, they're excited. My lower elementary wanted to buy books for the library, and then those will be placed in a separate spot where they can access those. And some of them are picture books, some of them are lower elementary reading books, but they'll be using that with their classes. And they're pumped. I don't want to stand in their way. I want to say, yeah, go out and we can buy this and we can buy this, and we have the group that's made up of ADSYS and the special teachers are looking at coding, and have brought somebody came in and did some training with them on coding with little robots, and they want to get more, and I want to be able to say, yes, let's keep moving forward. So, and then gifted in that same area is, how can we run with the gifted program?
What do we call the
I didn't
gifted
take
program?
Evelyn Wood, so I didn't read it that fast, but it looked pretty good.
Because LEAP stands for learning.
Something. The acronym is,
That's okay. It would be good to know.
Educational
Program.
yes,
Advanced.
advanced program. Advanced, you get 1 point for advanced, and then
I'll Google it.
So
so is that not
that-
enough?
is that relevant course offerings then? What about
I would
and
s-
technology utilization? There's no breakout
Yeah.
between them?
Is that a combined?
I would throw it together.
But if you're talking about those STEAM learning, that really is the relevant coursework. The technology is just a tool, because some of those STEAM activities, some of the makerspace don't require any technology at all. It's critical thinking, it's problem solving, it's hands-on, and so that's not really it's a little connector thingamaboppers, and building and seeing what is the most structurally sound and what can hold the most weight, and that doesn't require any technology at all. Fun. Kids are way engaged.
Well, engineering fits into that one. And
Right. But that's why it really fits in the relevant course offering box.
And I guess then for technology utilization, we already have that one that we talked about, which is implementing e-learning days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're
We're investigating.
It only
Yeah,
partially affects you.
I think
yeah.
It's
I
only
think
half
we
of it.
really
Student body.
need to investigate it thoroughly.
That's
Well,
what,
believe me,
that's
you were
what-
gone for an hour, we did that.
It's
I
done.
think we need to
Just to let you know.
The gavel is
communicate,
long.
communicate with other districts.
Yes, that's on our list, we got a list of.
See, I'm psychic
Yeah.
and tired, punchy. I should have
Okay.
watched this while I was over at school.
Yeah, you could have, you would have.
Learned a lot.
So that's part of the technology part of it, then for marketing,
I don't think he's gonna have.
we
the-
don't have nothing there.
Unless
Do
we
have
wanna
a-
say
do we have
for
a
the
goal
cafeteria.
written
Yeah.
on
For
our
relevant
marketing?
course offerings?
Yeah.
No, I've got a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, I know,
Um,
we need to get that.
Yep,
Right.
so the goal,
Okay.
because both for Todd and Rick, it was, and did, you both wanted the course offerings by the 2019-20 school year?
Well, I just jotted down some notes, and I think it's gonna be by school, because we have the high school has, like, is whatever, however you wanna describe what Todd said, with more courses and community partnerships. And then the elementary school is the STEAM focus, and then MNBA, I think that's where the Destination Career Academy is gonna fit. Right? So I think those, it's like each
School has their own.
Now, that being said, MNBA is, I mean, that is only the high school. It's not the elementary, but,
I think that's enough, though.
it's big.
Yeah.
It's a big
But
thing.
there's gotta be a way to write the goal from a broader perspective, and then indicators of success would be at each of the sites.
Corinne's working
We are
on
the
it.
district strategic plan, so it needs to be a goal that they can fit into, in my opinion.
I'm alright with it either way. I don't know how you're gonna word something that's, like, our focus is on relevant course offerings. I don't know how you're gonna, I mean, yes, it's all, I don't know, Todd's isn't even necessarily STEAM focused, it's just more options.
Well, can't you just say by the fall of 2019, each school site will blah, 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 or
Right.
something like that, you know?
By the fall of
make it more
2019,
generic.
all schools will design and implement engaging course offerings requested by staff and students. And/or students, because, Rick is talking to his staff.
Mhm.
And so then indicators of success, MNVA, destination, career academy. Houston Elementary School,
Steve?
the STEAM maker space room. Okay, and that one can change as a, with your staff. And then Houston High School is, your notes again.
On-site, something
It
about
says more
local.
courses and community partnerships.
Yeah.
But this is the thing is, I think I want us to know, like, I consider maybe what that goal is to be fluff instead of substance, because I would like, to me, the goal of MNBA implementing the Destination Career Academy means something, but implementing new course offerings per direction of, or by staff and teachers or whatever, it doesn't really mean anything to me. But I feel like with each of the high school and the elementary school, we need a lot, like, it's not really, I know you want to focus on STEAM and a makerspace, but what does that mean? I know you talked about a room, but
All that entails.
what's gonna, I mean, how much money is it gonna cost us? I mean,
But
It-
like you told Todd, what's the plan?
what's
Can't
the
you
high
just-
level, like, what does it mean? Yes, like some sort of plan.
Right.
And because Todd was talking about hiring, he's like, just give me 2 teachers, you know, jokingly, kind of. And so, you know, but it's like, what does, because there's always a cost, right? What does it cost to implement? What does it look like? Will it house Lego robotics? Hopefully, you know, just stuff like that. What's going to be in it? And I think
So
we
you
need
just want to
to.
specify what
Well, it
you'd
has
like
to be
see.
measurable.
Yes, exactly,
Yeah,
yeah,
Okay,
and
what'd you
so,
say again?
But
has to
our,
be measurable. and-
Yeah.
yeah, so,
Yeah,
but
okay.
by whatever our timeline is, we need a report or a plan, we need something
Say,
back from each of those sites. Right, cause it's gonna be a different thing for each site,
I think
so-
there are 3 different goals, I guess is my point.
So
But we
Rick, if you
can't
could
do
be
that.
extremely specific on what it is. I mean, you kinda gave a general, but the general's hard to measure, so if you could be a little more specific, and then it's a measurable thing for the group to see if they've accomplished or not.
Not tonight, but
No.
Right.
8 o'clock in the morning would be good.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So when would you like Rick to talk to his,
Well, this is an ongoing thing with my staff, so.
right,
You know, we
But
can,
it
so are
remains-
you saying we can add? I mean, you saying there's a budget for this, there's,
You need to propose
You need
exactly
to
what it
pro-
is.
You
Okay, so-
basically come back to
Here-
us and
here's,
say, this is
here's
my
all I'm
proposal.
saying is I can get my staff pumped up, we can be ready to go, come to the board and they
Bye.
can say, great, thank you. It's a great plan.
It would be great if there were a couple of options.
Well,
you
this
know,
is the
that-
thing though, is
I
that,
mean-
I mean, we're only focused on, I mean, we're trying to get down to, I don't know, 5 goals or something or whatever, I'm making up a number, but there's very few.
you're just
And
concerned
this is
about
one of
building
them.
up false
That's
hope
my
and-
concern, I've been at this long enough that if I go to my staff and say, hey, the board says we can run with this, so we run with it, and then we come to you and you say, great.
There's where I think being specific
I
Can
can be
be
very, we can
beneficial
be very
to you.
specific.
more.
If given the ability to be specific, we can be very specific. So if that's the direction that we can go, we will be more than specific. So,
Is that more what you
so as we go down this route, this is not just a
Well,
brainstorming
I
session,
totally
it's a,
get what he's saying now.
Yeah.
You want me to go and ask everyone, but we gotta back it up. We
yeah.
gotta-
You're
so-
that's
willing
why I
to,
said on the meeting on the 14th, you have to remember that what you're putting on here is where you're putting your funds. And so we've got finite funds. If this is where we're putting our funds, what are you going to cut? Because we don't have more money coming in. We can't just put more money toward this. We have to live within our budget. We have to live within our means. And so if we're going to put the money toward this, what are we
Well,
not
that's
gonna put the
where-
money toward?
You know, if this is what they wanna do, then that's part of their plan. This is what we're gonna do to make this happen, and this may be what we change to help make this happen.
but by making that statement, what are we gonna cut? Okay, now we gotta take a deep breath and say, okay, this is what we're gonna give up in order to get this. Do we wanna give this up? And then we're going to have a totally different discussion with my staff. Because we still have to do reading and math and all of those other things. And so by saying, okay, we're going to add something on and we're gonna take something away, okay, there's a trade-off. And I have to be able to stand in front of my staff and say, gotta come up with something that's gonna go away, and I don't know what that is right now. So it's a different, it's a different discussion that I'm gonna have with my staff.
So this is how I'd answer that, is I don't wanna cut anything, but I feel like as a school board, one of the most important things we do is set the strategic plan, and it's our one chance to have a few dreams. And we're not talking huge dreams. You didn't ask for cafeteria, you're asking for stuff to put in a room, right? So I think you need to dream a bit, and maybe this isn't just for this year. It could go for multiple years, and maybe it might need to be a phased approach. But I think as a board, we're trying to all get on board to say we agree with this, and any additional funds that we have should be put into this program at the high school and put into this program at the elementary. And our effort and funds should go towards those because we've decided they're important as a group.
And that's what we're doing. But I'm also not going to them and saying, dream big, plan big, this is what we're going to do. They're coming to me and saying, hey, can we get this? And it's like, yeah, let's get it. How are you gonna use it? Okay, this is how you're gonna use it, go for it. And as they do that, it empowers them, and I want that for my staff. I also don't, I don't want to make any cuts at this point over there with other programs that are working out well. So,
So Corinne, if I hear you right, there is no absolute extra money. Something would have to go for this to,
No, I don't agree
Is
with,
that-
I don't
is
agree
that correct?
until the finance committee has looked at the funds. I don't,
Well, we're short of money, period, I mean, just, I
Yeah.
mean,
So-
but
okay.
at
But-
the same time, I
but
mean,
the next year,
We
we're
don't know
getting
what's
rid
gonna
of a
happen in a couple
teacher.
years.
Because the sixth graders move up, there's one less teacher. I mean, I guess,
So that is a cut.
well, it's
Yeah, so
not a
there's-
cut. It's just because kids are moving, but I guess we don't know until we've looked at the budget.
and
Yeah,
since
I
this
just want that
since this is a
more for
public
him.
meeting, it should be stated when the sixth graders become seventh graders and move over to this building as seventh graders.
What did I say?
You
last?
said when the sixth graders move up, and
Oh.
there is concern because people are saying, oh, the sixth graders are going to the high school? Yes, they are. When they are seventh graders, they will be
Correct.
at the high school. So I just want to clear that up whenever that statement is made, because I've had several fifth grade parents that are concerned that the sixth graders coming over here. It's out there.
Oh, you mean the whole sixth
Yeah,
grade
like
class?
sixth
Oh,
grade.
I don't even
Just-
know.
I was at parent conferences tonight in case. So,
No,
No,
sixth
they're not.
graders who
Thank you.
become seventh graders and therefore move.
Corinne, I asked that question more for Rick, because I know, I was on the other side of this, and I know what, he does not wanna go before his teachers, paint this pie in the sky, get them all excited, if there isn't a feasibility, a relative feasibility to accomplish this. If
'Cause I-
something else has to go to do this, I can see where that will go over to.
Thank you.
We've set the levy.
Right,
We,
you have.
we already did that and we knew that we kept it, the increase that we put in, kept it flat. And so we know that we've got a flat budget, no extra money coming in.
Right.
But we're also spending
But-
$300,000 in the high school in science rooms. And if Rick's asking for 5,000 to 10,000 to make a room really nice, I would think we could come up with 5,000 to 10,000. I'm just saying, I'm throwing out random numbers, but I'm saying we're investing, you know, I mean, if Todd is asking for 2 teachers, and I know he kind of just threw that out, but I mean, the dollars are flying, you know, is a few $1,000s possible to help? Or do you probably already even have funding available in your, anyway, I don't see huge dollars flying by that I have a concern about.
Okay, and that's what we're doing as we move forward with STEAM. We're going forward with it. I am not going to get in their way. I'm going to help them and find the funds that are available. There's no pie in the sky. Boy, we can just spend whatever we want. They're all fiscally sound, and they come to me when they buy an $8 book. Is this okay? Yes, go for it, buy it. You want 2, you know? So, yeah, I just want to support my staff in running with STEAM. And we can make a room and we can buy stuff, and there's a lot of stuff you can get for free. And I appreciate it because Corinne hasn't said no yet when I come and ask her to spend money, but I'm not spending large amounts of money. So as I talk to my teachers and say, hey, dream big, but don't spend a lot of money as you're dreaming. So that's how I would like to see it, is give them the possibilities. And
So could the goal be stated something like each school will design and implement and or propose, I don't know, something about design, you're implementing things within your means or you're making a proposal that needs approval, that they know, you know, might be dreaming big, but it is in the research stage, not in the it's gonna happen stage. I don't know, that's kind of convoluted.
Because again, it would be
put
nice
in.
to know, as
I'm
like
trying.
you said, you know, if it's timelines, what would you know, how long would this take to implement this STEAM program, everything you're looking for? May not happen in this year, but doesn't mean we can't look at the budget next year, the following year, to make it all happen.
so we'll dream big. We'll get a plan for a big plan down the road, and but we'll also plan small.
Conservative.
Yeah, because I think that's what Mimi's asking
Right.
for, you know, if you put your heads together and say, this is something that could really
Help our kids.
help the kids, but that doesn't mean we're just saying, yeah, we're gonna do that.
Because the money that's spent over here, my students that are in my building will see that someday. They'll be over here.
Right, correct.
And, but I wanna give them the good start that they need to come over here and use that stuff, so.
I don't know how to write the goal, though.
What I added was by the fall of 2019, all schools will design, propose, and implement approved engaging course offerings requested by staff and or students.
It's a good politically correct way of doing
Gives a lot of options in there,
it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and we, well, I mean, that's what we want.
Well, that's what you
I
want,
mean,
you know, it's kinda like the
Yeah.
cafeteria over there, Rick, how long we've talked
We're
about it,
implementing
as
the.
long as I can remember.
Yeah,
And
I was in high school at the time we were talking about the cafeteria.
I know that, right?
So
Elementary
that
school
funding
is
might
in.
come back and we've got a plan all drawn up. So
See
if,
the-
if they open up the funding again,
That's
we
great.
can reapply and
Never say never.
No, I
mean, and
I
that's
will
the way
never
you
say
look at
that.
it. No, and that's fine. That's what we
Is,
want.
No.
so are we talking about the cafeteria right now?
No.
Well, I'm just wondering, if when we did it, cause I'm not on facility committee, is there, since I don't really think we're ever gonna get an auditorium in the near future, is there any improvements that we could do so that when we had performances there, it would be better? For instance, is there new bathrooms that have
That's
4
on
or
the
5
list.
stalls in the women's and
That's
the
the
men's?
list, that's on the paper.
Okay, and there's a
Yeah.
concession stand
That was-
potentially?
That would be tied in with the
Yeah.
bathroom.
Okay,
Okay. Yeah,
We got space for those type of things.
okay, and we put some thought into how to make, when we have productions in the elementary, a little bit nicer, as opposed to really nice in an auditorium, but the best we can do. Okay, I just wanna make sure, because that's nice
food.
to,
It's good to know.
Yeah.
We have it on the list, there's a lot on that.
but we're not gonna
Construction.
put that on this list,
No.
because we're just waiting for funding.
mhm.
We're fishing or
Correct.
waiting for bite? Okay.
So where are we at now?
So the timeline, by when do you want Rick's proposal?
Well, Mike Lee said 8 in the morning, but I think that's a little early.
9.
Are we looking at like by the end of this year,
sure.
or March? I mean,
March.
I don't know.
I
Since
know.
you're already engaged in
I mean, if- yeah,
conversations,
exactly, you're already
and Todd
engaged in the
is as
conversation.
well, they ought to be able, before the teachers are out.
Before they go on,
Probably
before the end of the
proposal
year.
By April?
Yeah.
Sure, first one that gets it in gets the
Hey.
money.
Could be.
Are we gonna get back together as a group to talk about it in a planning? Are we just gonna review it in a board meeting? Are we gonna have another meeting? What are we?
We'll probably do like we did this time, is have
Yeah.
that part of our discussion to continue this
Well, the
Probably.
proposal, because
conversation.
both of these would probably require either, course offerings would be district advisory committee or, it's finance as well. So the proposals would either go to finance if it's something that's costing a great deal, or to the district advisory committee first before coming here for
Right.
approval.
But that's how we would, the discussion would be at the appropriate committee meetings, brought back to the board to have the further discussion so we can keep
Does
it
that
moving.
work for everybody?
For his benefit, he should have a date though, like.
We said April, right?
April 15th or something like that, it should be.
Sure.
A
April
specific
15th,
date.
okay.
As long as that's not a weekend, right? I don't know what day.
Just
April
do this the
15th.
same time you're doing your
It's
taxes.
tax day, right? The day after, it's gotta be Tuesday, probably this year.
What, do you want it to coordinate with the board meeting? I mean, does it want it to be before the second meeting in April?
Well, then you have that, and then, next board meeting, we'll talk about it.
No, I don't know if we're gonna make it
I
through
know,
every
it's
one of
We
these
have a board
tonight.
No.
meeting by then.
We've got
Well, yeah.
marketing,
Yeah.
That's what I'm just,
I would say we can table the rest of it and have it in another.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yes.
And, maybe I'm gonna be selfish with this too, cause I always, well, we should think about superintendent goals as well.
these will be mine then. mean,
Well,
as
I was
far as
just
they
gonna
need to be
say,
tied to
the
that.
high school science rooms, are we not gonna have a strategic goal about implementing them, and maybe we just have it be a superintendent goal to get them implemented? They're gonna happen this summer, so
Right.
maybe it's not even worth putting down.
It's already been decided,
Okay.
you know, I mean, we've already committed.
Right.
Yeah, we're,
She's got bids.
Yes, but it's not implemented, I guess, is
Well,
the,
she's got, we gave
No,
bids
but
to
the
her.
abatement is, it's all happening this
Yeah,
summer,
minutes.
so.
We never put on her goal.
okay.
with marketing, with that one, I will, the marketing would be a really easy one to, if we wanna really develop the, community access channel.
That's, yeah. that's-
Oh, I see, have that as our goal,
Mhm.
and you can be beating down the door at
By the
Ace
end of March.
by the end of March.
By July 1st, we have one, so we can start it for next year.
Okay,
Well, it would be nice to have it by next year.
Yeah, that's what it
Yeah.
is. So if we have
Can we,
What's the
set it as a
That's what I'd
date,
like to-
like by the end of April?
okay, April 30th,
And then that way it would be ready before the end of this year.
Yep.
To have for, I think that's what they're doing.
And then for
If you didn't, you just-
community and college partnerships, Todd already talked a bit about all that, so I don't know.
I had a question on that, is in these ones that are having some success with that, is that purely administrators of both the high school and the schools or businesses working, or is there usually a liaison that, or is that?
in Winona, I can speak to that one.
Yeah.
The REACH program is really spearheaded and driven by Winona Chamber. Della
Bella,
Della Schmidt is the lead of the Winona Chamber's REACH program. She is the driving force, she is the brainchild,
So is that something that our person in town here?
Well, I would say that the one for the county is
Courtney.
that Courtney has been doing a great deal for the school districts of Houston County,
Yeah,
right?
my only issue is that, I mean, well, she's dealing with the whole county, and like our chamber is, I mean, we have a person who works just a few hours there, and we couldn't ask the president to, I mean, it's a significant amount of work.
So this other person you said that works in the county, could she
Well, I
be
think
part
Todd
of
and you
that?
have been, I mean, I think Todd,
This
she's
is Courtney that's applied for, she applied for the Bush grant and it didn't get accepted, and so now she's looking for other grants.
So that community, that stuff is going on with her.
But if we
Well, Gene
wanted,
and I went to one meeting in Caledonia, and then we all went to two meetings actually, but the larger group hasn't met again.
I
But-
think if we want it implemented in our school, we're gonna have to have somebody, I think Courtney, I mean, I think that's what, she was probably asking for money to get somebody to help coordinate, cause she's got so many things going on. You know, she's not gonna be able to coordinate it for us, but I think it might be part of what Todd is putting together for a plan.
I think so too.
It's, because we talked about a, basically a work-based coordinator, someone who would help, develop internships and develop placements within the community. We've got a special ed teacher doing it, but she can only do it for her special ed students. She can't do it for the general population. We've got somebody trained at Summit, but she can only do it for students that are enrolled in Summit. And I said, can we enroll every one of our juniors in Summit? Chad said, nope, they are not all.
So
alternative
this
school
is
candidates.
being done, right?
It's
so
not
how do
being
we-
done for the.
The general population.
I think we need to wait for what Todd has before we can write a goal, cause I think it's gonna be tied together.
To what he's discussing with Courtney and.
Right, to see if that grant goes through or if it doesn't.
Well, I
what
just
we
think
all
it's
need to
gonna
do.
tie in, whatever he's writing, I think is gonna be college, community and college partnerships and relevant course offerings. It just sounded all very related, or I don't feel
Well, he's
comfortable
bringing that
saying it
back to
without
us
him, I guess.
next month, right?
Hmm?
That's when
I
Todd's
feel like
bringing
we're all running a little low on energy. I don't think the marketing one should just be the access channel either.
Okay,
I mean, I don't know what it should be, and I think we're kinda getting a little
So why don't we
brain
do
fatigue
this
to come up
again?
with something
Why
that
don't we
makes
just-
sense, but
Table it until another board meeting to continue it, or you wanna?
I'm just,
I just put a 1 by it and then I've got a 2.
Well, I think we should, and then we, like, another meeting that's light on agenda can take a key spot.
Are we happy with that, James?
Strategic
Yeah, I
plan.
mean, certainly hearing from the principals and getting those two things, that's big. Those
Yeah.
are big.
You good with that, Rob? Amy?
I'm great with it. I wonder if the game is still going on.
Josh? Good?
Yeah, I'm all for
Okay,
it.
Okay,
so why don't we just do that? Then we can, we don't have a lot left on the agenda, except for,
Street is started at 7.
announcements,
7 o'clock. Yeah, Glenn was up by what time, 7?
important events, anything going on? School board recognition week? No, we're
I
not done.
recognize you.
okay. First, I would like to present you with certificates. And, on behalf of the school system, thank you for all of your efforts and all the time that you spend, really making Houston Public Schools the place that it is.
Thank you.
You are,
Thanks, Corinne and Ann. I'm guessing.
Corinne did it all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
you are appreciated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Next up,
Bus driver?
Bus Driver Appreciation Day is next Wednesday? No,
We're gonna meet a week and the other day.
yeah, that's, okay.
Yep.
And then the other thing, it's Paraprofessional Week, March 4th through the 8th. And we will have a board meeting on March 7th, but we'll have a proclamation that goes out, and there will be probably a,
I thought Para Week already was.
It was different this year.
yeah,
Later in the year, and I don't know why.
I feel like there was an ad in the banner that congratulated all the paras
I
already.
think there was.
Yeah,
yeah,
It
there
was the
was,
wrong week.
yes.
they did it twice then.
I can get it twice, that's deserved.
Anything else there, Corinne?
As far as important events?
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay, committee, updates, HFed had,
We meet the 4th, so we have
Okay.
to check this month. Since
online school committee, we had quite the,
Yeah, we met about 2 things. What were they?
yeah,
ESSA.
Seems like thank you.
and the 3-year review process.
Is it time to do that again?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so
you remember that?
we had lengthy discussions about both of them.
Seems like
Yeah.
we just got-
Lots of paperwork that needs to be done.
Yeah, every student
Plan to get
success act.
graduation rate up.
Yep, so, yeah. They had to, MNBA had to do their school improvement plan, citing ways that, strategies they'll use to increase their graduation rate, because that's the one place they were cited. Their memo is due to the commissioner before March 1st. And then as a school district, our, memo is due to the commissioner May 1st. We were cited for our graduation rate, but we needed to wait to see what MNBA had as their strategy, so we could use that same strategy in our plan. And we were also cited for attendance, which MNBA was not, but as a district we were. And I'm still trying to get to the bottom of that, because they said MNBA's attendance was fine, but our attendance on site is over 90%, and theirs online is 70%. And somehow or another, we were cited as a district. So I need to figure out why that is.
Is it down from a previous year?
On site, we can't get much higher as a attendance
No.
than,
I mean, I don't know what, like if we had 95% attendance in the previous year and now we're 90, maybe
Yeah, well-
that along with 70 was the trigger. I don't know.
no, our attendance on site is pretty consistent. It's consistently high. No, that was yeah, but that's what I've gotta dig into and figure out why as a district we're cited as, and what we're going to do to increase attendance. But that will, the district advisory committee is meeting on Wednesday to start. Now that we've got the MNBA plan, we'll start our district plan.
So is any other committee updates?
Meet and confer is meeting this next week.
Yep,
Just
Tuesday.
FYI.
Tuesday. And then, possible future agenda item. We were having this conversation before the board meeting started. We have to, at the high school level, have 1,020 hours of instruction. And if we don't have any more snow days, early outs, or late starts, we are going to be at 1,024.6. So Todd and Rick and I are meeting tomorrow morning at 9 to talk about options, to make some adjustments to give us some wiggle room. The teacher contract is that snow days will not be made up, so we don't have to worry about changing our calendar, because we can't. We're locked into our calendar. And we're locked into the duty day for the teachers. But we do have a little wiggle room with time. We can increase by 12 minutes each day, which in 31.5 days would make up for another day. So
you're saying we can't, like, let's just say the Monday after Easter, we couldn't add that as a day? Our contract wouldn't allow for it?
If we added it, we would have no teachers here. We can't force the teachers to come in that day. There's a clause in their contract that says snow days will not be made up.
So if the state, I mean, we shouldn't have that clause in there.
That's right.
I mean, it's dumb if the state says you have to. I mean, but I was under the impression the state was gonna say it was fine.
The state, the legislators, someone is proposing the language to excuse 3 days, so we can put back 3 days of membership back into our calendars. But that has to go through, the House and the Senate have to pass the exact same bill. Then it has to get to the governor has to sign it before we know that we actually get those 3 days back. Now, you have to remember, those 3 days, if we get them back, we still have March, we still have April, we still have May. And we've had snow days in May before.
I think you need to add the 12 minutes ASAP. I mean, you just.
It would,
What does that mean though? You're saying everybody goes
just
12 minutes later?
So instead of, at the high school, instead of school getting out at 3:18, we'd get out at 3:30. At the elementary school, instead of getting out at 3:05, you'd get out at 3:17, and that's just for buses. The elementary time, elementary in grades 1 through 6 only need 935 hours. So actually 1 through 6 is fine, because according to this, they have a supervised recess for elementary students. And so the length of the day does include supervised recess and passing time for secondary students. So that's why for our high school students who start school at 8:30 and are getting out at 3:18, they've got a 30-minute lunch. So therefore they go to school 378 minutes a day. And so if you add up the minutes that we've been in session, subtracting the 2 late starts and the 1 early out, and then the cold snow days, and then you convert it all to minutes and then divide by 60, you get that
So how many days do we have to make up?
So we need the high school to add 12 minutes, we don't need the elementary school.
we don't, but what do we do with those elementary students for the extra 12 minutes that are on the bus?
They'll
in
be at the
between?
teardrop on the bus.
So
Yeah.
there's no other option? We've got one option on the table, isn't there another?
We could start school earlier, but then you'd have to have all the buses coming out earlier as well. We could start school at 8 in the morning instead of 8:30, because the teachers have to report at 8, and they have from 8 until 3:30 every
way,
day
it's a
with a
little
half an hour flexible.
And so what happens if there's a bunch of snow days and we are bound by all these parameters? Do we lose funding? What happens from a state from a MDE
What do they
point of
do?
view?
We'd lose funding, we,
We lose funding for those days, correct?
We would lose
All the
all of
time.
our average daily, our take for those whatever
Yeah. 1,
days
2
that
days,
we're
whatever
not
it
in
is.
school that are the minutes that
How
we
many
work.
days are we behind?
Right,
you know?
I'm guessing,
There has to be.
when you
One
say the
day
3
back,
days,
2
is the
days.
state, is that a moving number that at the end of this winter, they're gonna say, oh, we need 7 days? You know, that bill that's gonna be pushed through?
the bill that's pushed through right now is only talking about the 3 days.
3 days because of the.
Other schools have to have the same issue.
Oh, every school's at, you should see the emails I'm getting from every
So-
single
so
school.
Let me
Yeah.
ask another option. I'm not saying this is a good option, but I'm just gonna throw it out there. I have seen schools in Iowa that say, we're having school today, but there's no buses. So we just wouldn't cancel school again. We're having school, make it if you can make it.
And we might have to,
And there's
that
no
is-
buses, and then we wouldn't have to adjust anything. I mean, we're having school literally every single day. Now watch them, water main will break, but we're having school.
Why do you say that, Lee? Throw that out there.
The odds of that are very high in Houston.
We're-
Think.
We're having school every single day, but if the roads are bad, because we've missed so much, and because we don't have an approved e-learning plan, we just, there's no buses.
And so those schools, those students are just excused.
Well,
Teachers
if,
don't
yeah,
have to
if you
touch
can drive your child in,
But the
right?
teachers
Is
have
there a
to-
limit?
Yeah, safety first, but
You
at
have
the
to have
same
so
time,
many students there, it doesn't matter.
If we
What
have
about our
schools-
teachers?
oh, I don't
If
know.
about our
students,
teachers?
if they can't make it, no
I
buses,
don't know.
the teachers still have to be here.
Our-
I
Yes,
understand,
yes.
I like
That's
your
what I'm
idea,
saying.
but
Yes.
the drawback is that
Yes, you're right.
We've got some teachers
Cold
that are
weather
driving
days,
from
that's
Rochester,
why they're
we've
trying to
got
push it through the
teachers
state.
driving
'Cause I
from,
think Wisconsin did it.
let's see, Onalaska, Rochester, Plainview,
That's from
Lanesboro, Mabel,
So as
Winona.
long as
Winona,
Rick's
a
there,
lot from Winona.
he can cover.
as long as he can,
I gotta drive from Jackson Street. It's,
but, so he can just hold down the fort, and then he'll just be like.
Well, I mean, if the teacher's contract doesn't allow for us to add in days when we've missed days, our
I
hands are
follow
kind
you,
of
man,
tied.
I
I
follow
mean,
you.
It's a good discussion. When
It
you
is a
talk,
good, it's
you,
a,
and
no,
that's
it's-
something that we should bring up at the next negotiation thing to
Yeah,
discuss that.
but that's also, this is talking about a future agenda item, March
So-
7th, we have to come up with an option, it's gonna take board
You guys
approval.
are gonna come up with some
So give us some
thoughts, and then
options,
some
give us the,
options.
you know, and then let us, like, school, no buses, add these minutes,
Mhm.
whatever the options
Whatever the
are.
options are.
I can't really believe the state isn't gonna address something here because of the enormous amount of schools that are gonna be affected by this.
Well, I think that's gonna
Right
probably
now,
pushing them to do something about it.
Gary
You know, I'm
Amoroso
gonna
said
ask
that
him.
right now, the only talk is about giving us 3 days back.
Because of the
But there's-
cold weather.
There's a lot of, well, a lot of schools are using those e-learning days, but those of us that didn't put them in place,
Right. But I don't think we can count on the state getting the legislature to get everything in place in time. That's not realistic, so I can't hardly believe that we're gonna just have to watch that close to see if the state does address
Well,
it.
if another
Yeah.
big weather event hits the whole state,
Oh.
they might get it together.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
They're all going on
But the
recess,
state's
aren't
not
they,
gonna
like next
let
week until May?
75% of their school districts also lose funding.
Well, Waltz had to be pretty close to calling a
He
statewide
was-
day, but he didn't. Dayton did it in the past, but
Right.
he was asked not to by the head of MSBA and by the head of MASA, because they said,
When is it listening?
Minnesota's a local control state, please let the superintendents make the call.
Okay, so,
I have one more question on this. Is there, does this
Are we doing that
affect,
for us?
just because I have a senior and I've heard kind of some hubbub, does it affect the seniors at all and when their end of school is?
It could.
Because I have a concerned senior. So
What-
it would be
no.
nice for us to know, you know, cause they get out a week early and what does that mean
So-
for them?
March
It means
seventh,
that they
we'll
can
have
get their
some
minutes.
thoughts,
There,
right? Trent, March
What?
7th? You
March
guys will
7th.
have a few things to bring to the board to
Yep,
make a decision on.
yep.
yes.
So if we have a day without buses and the teachers all have to come in, what if the teachers can't make it?
that's an issue.
Then we don't have to pay them for that day, do we?
What if we,
I'm licensed in math and English.
what if we did a big field trip with everyone? Like to make up, I mean, do we have to have, like, can kids be here without the teachers?
Well,
If
they
they
might,
all go off-site on a big,
Could be tough.
to watch something or do some, to the science
Supervision.
museum, every
yeah,
kid
the
at the science.
supervision, we would have to, we can call in the paras, but we can't force the teachers.
Anyway, that's, I'm
Let's
just
see
trying
what,
to throw
let's
out
see what
ideas.
happens when you guys discuss it and see what you think about it.
Yeah, because it,
And I still don't know,
Those
how many,
4 days
are we
for
behind
some
1
reason
day,
are
2 days, 3 days, Corinne?
what?
No,
How many
we're-
hours?
we're
What do we-
right on.
We're right on right now.
No, we can have
4
two,
hours and 6 minutes or
four,
something.
4.6.
Well, then, that, I like the decision of
Oh, 4.5.
not calling off another day of school.
2 late starts? Is that-
Yeah, it's basically 2 late starts.
Yeah, that'll probably happen.
And, you know,
I think it's supposed to be snowing Monday again. It's weekend and then Monday, Tuesday.
I think you're right.
Mhm.
wow,
Oh,
so think about it.
yeah,
The
I
12
just,
minutes I like, I think Michaeline's right on this, we should just start that as soon as
Well,
possible if
I mean,
necessary, but.
You know, it's
You
still
guys
not,
think
it's
about it
still
and
not
say-
enough wiggle room if we
Well,
did
let
it.
them-
no, it takes,
guys
it takes
discuss it, bring it back.
31.5 days to
You guys-
build back 1 day at 12 minutes a day.
You guys discuss it, cause.
And is there a lot of learning happening in those 12 minutes? That's my concern.
Very good.
Yeah, so. I don't know, and it does, I mean, just plain devil's advocate, it's, I mean, I guess it's not a huge deal for me, but for other people, you know, we have our schedules and kids go to certain spots and 12 minutes can be a big issue. You know, for us it isn't, but for other people it might be,
Anything else?
Not getting our funding would also be a big issue.
right?
Anything else on the agenda?
So moved.
Beat that up.
Second.
So, okay. Discussion, all in favor?
I,
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Have a great night.
And thank you again for the gift.
Congratulations.